you.
Yep, that's it. Miller
Shelter from the storm, huh?
and Moulton.
Yeah, sounds like a song.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like it.
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
How the heck are you? And that question has never meant more than right now. Miller and Moulton on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live at many a place, including the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels.
From our bunker to your bunker.
It's still the cozy confines. It's not a bunker. Not yet.
We started in a bunker.
We started in an asbestos closet. That's
Well, no, I mean Act 2, because, you know, Irma hit we were in our Irma bunker, basically.
Yeah, we did 4 shows and Irma hit.
And then we were off the air for a while.
Yep.
But the coronavirus will not take us off the air.
No.
We are here for you. And I didn't realize fear's the wrong word, but the scare that I put in maybe 6 people over the weekend, because I don't think that many people were that worried about it. But with the schools being closed, Daddy Daycare opens at 9 a.m. around here.
There we go.
And I just said going from show to daycare. And someone said, wait a minute, you're not doing a show? And you quickly said, no. We're doing shows.
No, we're not missing a show. And I'm serious. We are not missing a show. Not a one.
Wait a minute. Between now and when sports comes back, we don't get a day off? That's a bunch of bull.
Memorial Day.
My hind end.
Memorial Day.
I don't get a vacation? You're making the rules?
Well, hold on. We've already talked it out. We didn't have vacation planned till after Memorial Day, I thought. So sports will start to come back right around Memorial Day weekend or shortly thereafter.
We think.
Yeah. I mean, the NBA is planning a June comeback. The NHL has already inquired about building availability in July. I think by June, golf will return. I mean, I don't know how many tournaments there's going to be before the U.S. Open, but I think the U.S. Open will go on as scheduled at Winged Foot in mid-June.
When do you think the next tennis tournament will be? I know we don't have a huge tennis audience, but that is the one because of the, international flavor of the sport and tournaments being played everywhere. And virtually after they were going to play in Miami this week, they would have been heading to Europe for the whole clay court season.
Right.
Do you think they'll play typically Roland Garros is in June?
It's the very end of May. It usually starts Memorial Day.
So do you think we will have the French Open?
Yes, but it wouldn't surprise me if it gets pushed back because usually there's the French Open and then there's time for at least 2 grass court warm-up tournaments before Wimbledon. And it wouldn't shock me if the French Open gets pushed into mid-June and we almost go back-to-back French Open, Wimbledon.
Indy 500, they going to run it?
I
mean, we're throwing a lot. I'm probably coming at you pretty hard for 6 a.m., but you started on that, and I just started thinking of all of the other events. Like the Derby, I've been on the Derby email list forever.
Well, there's no way the Derby happens the first Saturday in
No,
May.
they've already put out the email, kind of wishful thinking without saying they're canceling yet, but or postponing.
They're going to announce this week. That came out over the weekend, that the Kentucky Derby will figure things out this week. I'm sure they're trying to figure out, okay, if we're doing this, then they're probably in talks with the Preakness and the Belmont. It's kind of like, well, okay, and then you got to call NBC.
All the prelims, too. I mean, for their series, they've got all this whole Derby.
That, to me, Mark, is one of, there are so many different factors to this. But in all the sports in which there are essentially qualifying rounds for, horse racing, golf, I mean, I was thinking about if you're the USGA, you take great pride in, if you're the RNA, what are your tournaments called? Opens.
Right.
They are open for people to qualify for. Are we going to have qualifying? I mean, think about it. The first week of June is the U.S. Women's Open. The third week of June is the U.S. Open. Are we going to have qualifying? I mean, the CDC last night changed everyone's time frame. And if by chance you missed it, the CDC last night said, no gatherings of 50 or more people for 8 weeks. Well, do the math. That takes you to mid-May.
Which, for the record, just in golf. Let's stick with our most popular sport from a participation standpoint in Southwest Florida. Because I do know for the fact, and I won't cite clubs, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I have a lot of friends who are golf pros. And I was wrong. The West Bay member guest was played over the weekend.
Okay.
That I do know.
All right.
There were 2 other member guests that were canceled.
Gotcha.
At other clubs. I believe there are more being canceled this weekend. And I know you, if you don't belong to a club, you think I'm being an ass. I'm not being an ass. I'm just merely pointing out that down here we have a lot of country clubs. That's their big deal.
Yes, we do.
They are operating damn near business as usual around here. Friend of mine said, well, we were off. You know, normally we do 324 on a day like today. We did 317 today.
Now, I will say, all right, if it's a foursome, that's not a group of 50.
No, it's not.
I mean, and you want to talk about keep a safe distance. Well, from the tee box to the middle of the fairway is 250 yards.
Absolutely. So, I don't know how much they're slowing down, going to have drinks after.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're at the driving range before. I'm do what you want to do. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm just saying there's a lot of very normal still going on in Southwest Florida. But from a golf standpoint, we start qualifying for the Open, David, at the end of April.
Yeah, we're not going to this year.
I get it, but based on the USGA's website, the 27th of April was going to be the first qualifying days for the Open, and there's a million of them. You know, they go on there's a couple rounds of this. So those are all gone. How do you get, I mean, you're right. I mean, actually, that's one of the best things you said, because the Open, that's what they pride themselves on. And that's why on Friday, I was really bummed out about FGCU's women's team. I was really bummed out about all these high school spring teams and high school basketball teams. Guy that I worked for, his nephew's a senior at Clarkson High School in Michigan. He's going to Northwestern next year. They probably had a hell of a shot at a state title. No more.
Right.
Those things, you know, prom. But like for you and I, we're going to be fine. There's a lot of young people this sucks.
Yeah, it does. And it's something you'll always remember, and it'll be a lot of, what if? But, you know.
But you're right, the U.S. Open. When do you play this?
They will have to make decisions. Also, think about this. If you're golf, you got the Masters and the PGA now, all before the U.S. Open. How are we going to do this? I mean, listen, the Masters is its own entity. And all they have to do, I mean, whenever they tap CBS on the shoulder and go, this is when we're going to play, CBS will be like, done. Okay, we'll clear the program.
Got to move Florida, Tennessee. So be it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is. So, you know, will the U.S. Open be the first major this year?
And, you know, the PGA is also a qualifier tournament on a different front. But it's, you know, we had the local pros on that qualified from here in years past.
And so it will be very interesting. Like, okay, you can't run a tournament, but could you run a qualifying? I mean, these are decisions that golf will have to make. Obviously, the Masters, it's invitation only. It'll basically be, you know, show up and done deal. So it will be fascinating, the scheduling of sports. This is an Olympic year. Think about this. If the NBA is planning on a mid-June return, well, I'm assuming when they return, the regular season's over. They're going to set the playoffs and the seedings based on the final standings as of Wednesday night. That would be my guess. And then they're going to try to play the playoffs as normal. I don't know if they shorten the first round to a best of 5 or what have you, but my guess is they're going to try to have 16 playoff teams and have as many playoff games as possible, and the owners will work out the revenue in amongst themselves with the 14 teams that don't make the playoffs, and they'll play this thing out into early August, almost second week of August. Okay. When's the Olympics start? Remember, some of these guys going to play in the Olympics, Team USA and all. I mean, so could whether or not you get knocked out of the NBA playoffs at what point determine whether or not you play in the Olympics? Never mind, will the Olympics stay on schedule? Do the Olympics push it back a year? I mean,
speaking of the Olympics, all of the qualifying in every single sport for every single country.
Completely messed up. Completely
messed up. I'm curious how they pull the Olympics off. I know it's down the road, David, and I know they have time, but there are far more. You know, we've talked about qualifying for the U.S. Open. My goodness, qualifying for the Olympics? The trials in damn near every sport, the swimming trials have to be coming up, and the gymnastics trials have to be coming up, not to mention all the track and field stuff, all of your other sports.
The Olympics are July 24th to August 9th. I mean, May and June is qualifying time. And are they going to have these? And if so, how many are they going to have in it? You know, clearly, if they truncate it, there will be less athletes who have a chance to qualify for the Olympics. And so you've been training for 4 years, never mind really working your whole life to get to this point, and the coronavirus may actually keep you out of qualifying for the Olympics. Or are countries just going to have to name teams based on who our highest ranked people are? I mean, Mark, July 24th to August 9th, if the NBA, if what's being reported is true, and they're targeting a mid-June return.
If they just go playoffs, that should be the final.
Well, yeah, I mean,
if they just go playoffs, they're in the middle of the playoffs during the Olympics, or, you know, in the conference finals or finals.
I mean, when the Olympics start, LeBron and Kyrie are going to be playing against one another in the Western Conference Finals. So Paul George, I mean, you know, just on the Lakers and Clippers alone.
This is going to be like the old World Hockey Championships, that when you get knocked out of the playoffs, right, you're going to go report to your Olympic team.
For those who are big hockey fans, it happens all the time in the World Championships. When guys get knocked out of the Stanley Cup playoffs, they take about 36 hours to regroup, and then they get on a plane and they fly to somewhere over in Eastern Europe, and then they join the World Hockey Championships already in progress.
Yes. I mean, that seems like what would happen with the Olympic team.
So I think going forward, the scheduling, you know, if you're Major League Baseball, are you just going to, like, I would not try to elongate the season if I was Major League Baseball. I would not, my first thought is to not play into November, not try to make games up by having regular season games go into mid-October. So I would just chalk this up to, hey, man, it was a coronavirus year. Whenever we start, and we'll have an abbreviated regular season.
And we'll find how much we love it.
Well, yes, but here's the other thing. Do you just chop off the first part of the schedule? Like, let's just say, pick a date, June 1st. Major League Baseball returns on June 1st.
Pick up the schedule from June 1st.
Yeah, do you just take your paper schedule and you just cut it off at May 31st, you throw it out and you go, here we go? Because obviously...
David, that makes a lot of sense. My quick answer would be no way in hell. And I'm not... Let me explain to you. Baseball is set up with very strict numbers of games against teams. And you're going to throw that out the window if you start June 1st.
Yeah.
My guess is, David... First off, the one good thing that baseball has going for it is that they have no building conflicts. They don't really have to worry about any potential crossovers between their games and an NFL game or anything else.
Right.
So my guess is, and it's just a guess, but the schedule person for Major League Baseball is starting a brand, like they are doing constant schedules right now.
So
one starting June 1st, one starting June 15th, one with 100 games, one with 120 games. My guess is that the schedule makers are in hell right now. And I'm not joking when I say that. I think they have to be.
Okay. And so what you would be advocating then is that so that all the division teams, because in that case, then you got to throw the schedule out.
Yes.
And you have to completely start anew.
Correct.
That's complicated.
Okay. Is it any more complicated than shortening a 162-game schedule to starting at June? I mean, I get what you're saying, because the only good thing about doing what you're talking about is you don't have to rip up tickets and you don't have to change,
Right.
plans and things of that
Right.
nature.
Yeah.
But I don't think that works.
And I think, personally, right now, I would make things as simple and as easy as possible. I mean, 2020 is always going to be remembered as the coronavirus year. Let's just make this as simple and easy as possible.
I got it. But here, let me just throw this back at you, David. Joe Lunardi, while his Selection Sunday was really ruined for him, he got to do the majority of his work. If all of a sudden in a month they said, Joe, we're going to have a 32-team tournament, get to work, I think Joe would be like a kid in a candy store figuring out the brackets. The schedule guy's got one job. It's to do the schedule. Here's the thing, David. There's nobody in baseball that's busy right now. You know what everyone has is an immense amount of time. So do you want to make it easy or do you want to make it right? And I have no problem with making it easy, but I do believe we have the time to make it right. You and I will speak, hopefully, in this tone for 6 to 8 to 10 weeks, because what we have on this show, David, is time.
No question about it. 3 hours a day for the foreseeable future.
With you, we're hoping that you're here.
Well, I think they will be. I actually think people need sports now more than ever. I actually think people will, I don't know about flock, but that people will find this show more than ever. 249-8167 is our number. 249-8167. And, well, we're going to have a poll question up. We're going to have it pretty early. And it seems obvious, but I know I am curious as to what is your answer to this question. A simple question. So, how was your first weekend without sports? 3 or 4 different answers you can come up with. Like in Mark's case.
Your answer, my answer isn't even on there, to be honest with you. None of those even apply. Mine would be great. I didn't have a good weekend. I had a great weekend.
Okay, well then how about you turn A, which is good, make it good/great.
And I'd go with A.
Oh.
I had a great weekend.
Well, that's good.
How about you?
It was okay. Mine's a B. If good/great is our first answer, B is okay. Mine was okay. It was fine. I mean, for as much as sports is a part of my life, I can handle. I'm handling no sports better than my wife.
Well, yeah, she's got to talk to you.
Mark,
that seems obvious.
Mark, I know you're not fond of me at times. My wife's actually fond of me at times.
I know she's fond of you, but I do recall when you say that, the only thing I think of is you on a cruise.
Right, I understand.
6-8 years ago.
Right.
And you looked, as you said, looked lovingly.
I did.
Into your wife's eyes on the cruise.
Yep, absolutely.
Said, can you believe
It's
been 16 years?
Yeah, 15 or 16.
Whatever
it
it was.
was a big
Right?
number, right? And it looked lovingly. Had my best line straight out of a rom-com, the whole deal. And she looked right at me and went, "Oh, good God!"
Right.
Right. And I got you. And it's believe me, and it's gotten worse from there. So,
in fact, that really should be one of our T-shirts. It's not what you say; it's how you say it.
On the back. Oh,
how the
good
heck
God.
are you? And
good
Miller
God.
and Moulton. Oh, good God.
So our poll question is going to be along the lines of, so how was your first weekend without sports? Good/great. B, it was okay. C, it was a bit of a struggle. And D, so this is hell. There you go. That'll basically be our choices.
Come on, David. It's not fall.
I mean, we're all right. Right. I mean, this could be September through November. I mean, come on now. This too shall pass. Miller and Moulton. There was actually a ton of sports news over the weekend, and a lot of it yesterday.
I am telling you, I am so excited for the starting five because I have no idea what you're talking about.
I mean,
he's got a full page. I looked at him. I go, "What are you writing?"
A full page. I've got asterisks. I've got arrows. I've got boxes. Honestly, I got a lot of stuff. You might not have realized just how much stuff went on this weekend. That's my job, to bring you the stuff next on Miller and Moulton. Hope you had a good weekend, and we are very glad that you are starting this week with us here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Our sound is
Do we have to change the name of our station?
Stop and listen.
Listen to me and you listen
Fox, not
It's
Sports
a
Radio.
collective voice that calls out to you, the fan.
We get a lot of zany people that call in.
This is our sound.
We're dealing with sick people here.
They're just absolutely nuts.
Crazy stuff happens. That's all I'm saying.
And you can only get it here. Get crazy, get wild. On Fox Sports Radio.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Therese O'Shea with Wink News. 34 new positive cases of coronavirus reported by the state overnight, but the Department of Health's website does not list locations yet. At last check, there are 11 confirmed cases in Southwest Florida, including 2 deaths. The first mobile testing collection sites open in Fort Myers and Naples today. In Fort Myers, a doctor's order and appointment is needed for Lee Convenient Care at Page Field, and just the doctor's order is needed at NCH. Their location is still TBA. We're expecting an update from President Trump and his task force this morning. A topic, the CDC's recommendation that you avoid groups of more than 50 people for 8 weeks. For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News. Facts, not fear.
Say goodbye to those annoying parking lot scratches with a paint repair at Mako. It's as easy as book, quote, fix. Go to Mako.com for more info. Uh-oh, better get Mako.
Want a truck? You're in luck. New Ram Crew Cabs, $375 per month at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers.
Gotta go.
It's Truck Month Madness. Crazy low prices on every truck and SUV at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges, Jeep, and Rams in stock. 2020 Ram Bighorn Crew Cab lease, just $375 per month. 2020 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, $319 per month. New Challenger SXT lease, just $225 per month. Qualifying purchases with no monthly payments till September. And exclusive of that offer, Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers will give you $6,000 minimum for any trade in any condition, running or not. New Ram Crew Cabs, $375 per month during Ram Truck Month at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 42 monthly 10,000 miles per year, 1999 with Sun plus tax dealer acquisition fee, 0 security deposit with lender approval, minimum trade for the purchase of selected vehicles, offers or goodbye.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new member specials are running all year. Call 239-945-1664 for more information. Or visit TowboatUSCapeCoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
Listen to the Dan Patrick Show at work.
Never boring, that's for sure.
Streaming 24/7 at FoxSportsFM.com. We are Fox.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples. EJ, we hear you've added several new colors of Core-Tec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new colors of Core-Tec for our stock. All nice, light, beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec wood, look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online Floormeisters.com.
Really?
That's floormeisters.com.
Wait a minute.
You own a home with a tile or shingle roof?
God,
you
I
live
love
between
those guys.
Port
Used to
Charlotte
listen
and
every
Marco
day.
Island?
They're
Hello,
on
I'm
still.
Jimmy Williamson
They are?
with Williamson Brothers
Yeah,
Roofing.
Fox Sports Radio.
If you answered yes to either
Oh, that's
question,
early.
it's
Well,
very
you can
likely your
download-
roof
Man, I'm
suffered
gonna
damage
thank
from
you so
Hurricane
much.
Irma that's not visible from the ground, and you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little or no money out of pocket. But you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us at 239-283-2013. It's a free, no-obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
Right, but what I'm saying is this guy saw it.
Boaters Landing, where you'll find the latest in Four Winds outboard-powered bow riders from 20 to 35 feet. You'll also find Four Winds boats carry one of the best warranties in the business. The Four Winds factory warranty is not just any 3-year warranty. It covers material, labor, and most boat components for 3 years. Four Winds boats, designed for families and saltwater. Boaters Landing, delivering the dream for over 30 years.
Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"27 minutes past 6 o'clock on this Monday morning. Normally, we'd be talking about brackets. These are not normal times. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. And yes, there is still sports to talk about. Mark, during the break, was his sarcastic best, in which he said, are we going to have to change the name of the station?
Fox Non-Sports Radio.
Not for another couple of weeks. Not for another couple of weeks. And if the NFL keeps the draft where it is, then in theory, we can keep it Fox Sports Radio. Besides, we will talk sports the whole time. You'll be surprised. Hope you'll stay with us. Don't think that just because the sports world has grinded largely to a halt that we can't do a show. Trust us, we can. And you'll like it, we promise.
Well, we hope.
Well,
I mean, we're not promising anything. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. David can promise all he wants. I'm not promising anything, but we're going to try our tails off to deliver. David gave a book to us on Saturday.
A book?
The longest text I've ever seen in my life.
I was just spitballing, just sitting around, had some time, and was thinking.
Put it this way, when I showed it to my wife, not in depth, I just said, this is the text from David, and I just kept scrolling. And she went, wow.
Yeah.
There was a lot on there.
You should see my emails.
Oh, trust me, I know. But I finally answered on Sunday in full. Because you did say whenever it strikes you. Right. I had a little answer right off the bat, had a little fun with it. And then on Sunday, I gave mine, and I thought it was a long text. And I looked, and it was like 40% of David's.
Maybe.
But the one thing I did say on there was brackets, brackets, brackets. We've got 8 weeks, David. Even things that we didn't put as ideas for our brackets, which will come out in the next 48 hours. The binge show bracket, which is very necessary right now.
I think people started over the weekend.
Oh, there's no doubt. A lot of people did, because I was chiming in on social media, people asking, threw in my 2 cents here and there. But our brackets will have brackets. And yes, we will have stories. Trying to probably find play-by-play from this day in sports history before it's all over. But David has told me that this is big right now. It is time for
the starting 5. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton Starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
The NFL players approved the new CBA. The vote was close, 1,019 to 959. So if 31 votes had been flipped, they would have shot it down. Over 500 players did not vote. That, to me, is remarkable. It ensures labor peace in the NFL through 2030. So for the next 11 seasons, there is a deal in place. Some of the highlights: the players' percentage of revenue is going to go from 47% to 48.5%. There will be much less practice time, and there will be much less contact during the practice time. There will be a 17th game. It will not go into effect this year. The 17th game begins in 2021. However, there will be 2 extra playoff teams, 1 per conference, and that will start immediately. The 2020 season, only the number 1 seed will get a bye. 2 will play 7, 3 will play 6, and 4 will play 5. So there will be 2 extra playoff teams and therefore 2 extra playoff games, 1 per conference. There's now only 1 tag. There's not a franchise and a transition. There is 1 tag, effective immediately. So like the Cowboys, if they were thinking of, they got to franchise Dak if they don't reach a deal with Dak by noon today, and that's another thing that goes into effect. You got to place your tag by 11:59 this morning because the legal tampering begins at noon today. You've got about 48 hours in which you can start talking, if not negotiating with one another. And free agency is going on as scheduled. Mark, I didn't realize this. I thought the NFL could just push their year back. Turns out they needed approval from the players. And the owners went to the players and said, listen, with this whole coronavirus thing, and the players said, no. They said, no. You'll just use it against us. You'll truncate the season. You'll give us about an hour and a half to negotiate deals. It'll all work against us. No. Free agency begins Wednesday.
I applaud the players. I know that might not make people happy. I don't mean fans, but I mean owners, because there is obviously a serious health issue going on. But the players feel, a lot of players feel as if they got the raw end of this deal, and you can tell by the closeness of the vote. And even by the way it was 17-14 as far as the player reps, when this came up, the player reps said no.
The players rep said yes. The executive committee said no. So there was, amongst leadership, there was split. But what the players cited was 9 years ago. Remember when they were negotiating and there was the talk heading into 2011, we were going to have a work stoppage and a strike. They didn't come to an agreement till like August 3rd that year. Well, they had to do the league's business in like a week and a half. Well, that didn't go well for the players. I mean, the owners all looked at one another and said, yeah, we can offer them whatever we offer them. It's not, they don't have leverage. Camps start in an hour. So the players said, yeah, you're just going to do that to us again. No. And the owners have a legitimate concern, which Pat Kerwin brought up last week, in which he said, you never do a deal without a physical. And they're advising no travel. They're advising no close contact, etc. He goes, I don't know how we're going to do this. And the players basically said, hey, we can negotiate by Skype, by emails, texts. Okay, we can do a deal, and it's all pending a physical. If the physicals, you can negate a deal down the road. All right, pending a physical. So the players, held firm with the owners, and that's why free agency will begin Wednesday.
And until we have a domestic travel ban, you still can stick someone on a plane and fly them. I mean, it's not maybe the best course of action, but we haven't told people they can't do that yet.
No, we have not. We've tried to say necessary travel, and in this case,
what's more necessary than a free agent physical?
Well,
name 5 things that are more necessary than a physical of my tackle for my team.
Well, I could probably name 505, but if you put it that way, before all of this went down, Ryan Tannehill got paid. 4 years, $118 million by the Tennessee Titans. Yes, that's $29.5 million a year. That makes Ryan Tannehill at this point in time the 7th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. $62 million of it is, quote, fully guaranteed. Yet there is apparently $91 million of guaranteed money in the deal. I don't understand the difference. I got to be honest. I'm guessing fully is better than guaranteed, but anyway, Ryan Tannehill's getting paid, and the price for Dak Prescott just went up. If I'm the Cowboys, I either am giving in to all of Dak's demands or I'm franchising him, and I'm going the Kirk Cousins route with Dak.
I'm going B.
Yeah, that's what I would do too.
I'm going B. I'm franchising him.
There was an interesting trade yesterday that went down in the NFL. The Jaguars sent Calais Campbell. I believe he was just named the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. And
what the hell is going on there?
Well, wait, it gets worse. They didn't just trade Calais Campbell to the Baltimore Ravens. They traded him for a fifth rounder. A fifth rounder. Now, the Jaguars did this because he had a year left on his contract. They apparently had made the determination they were not going to re-sign him after 2020. And here's what I think they're trying to do, Mark. I think they're trying to tear down the money on their cap this year so low that they can take the Nick Foles hit. I think they may be trying to get out from under Nick Foles this year. Because when you sign somebody and you got the signing bonus, if you get rid of them, the prorated signing bonus immediately counts against the cap. So let's just say, they gave him like $40 million over 4 years. Well, that's $10 million per year. But if you unload them in year 2, then $30 million of it counts right now. And I think they're trying to get out from under Nick Foles and do it in the 2020 year.
Okay, I would beg the question, why? If you're going to start Gardner Minshew, what was he, a 4th or 5th round pick, whatever the hell he was. So he is on as cheap of a rookie contract as you could possibly have. He is the most inexpensive starting quarterback in the last decade in the league, for crying out loud.
Right.
Including Russell Wilson. Why do you not keep Nick Foles? I mean, unless it's complete locker room.
Well, because he signed a 4-year deal, and I think they would be okay spending that amount of money at the quarterback position for 2020. But they're not going to be okay having another a $20 million backup in 2021 and in 2022. I think they're just trying. This is my interpretation of the deal. The Ravens then signed Campbell to a 2-year extension for $27 million total. He did have an off year by his standards last year. Also, by the way, there's only 3 starters left on the Jaguars defense from the team that was 6 minutes from the Super Bowl 2 full seasons ago.
Help me out here, David, and maybe I have the league rules wrong. If they kept Foles for 1 more year and dumped him next year, wouldn't it just be $20 million against the cap as opposed to $30 million now?
Well, but then it would count on the 2021 cap. And see, that's why I just think that this is a deal because it's a complete roster teardown, but it's also a complete salary cap teardown. They're getting Campbell off their books immediately. Well, why would you do that? Especially since he's still a productive player. It's to create salary cap room. Well, why are they trying to create salary cap room? They don't have any players left to pay. So I think it's to dump Nick Foles. We shall see. So that's a lot of... one other NFL note. The salary cap came in at $198.2 million. Which you could do the math, how many players on a roster, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, players are doing pretty well. But it was actually $2 to $5 million less than what GMs thought the cap was going to be. They thought the cap was going to be a minimum of $200 million and upwards of $203 million. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but it could very well be the difference between each team losing a guy they didn't want to lose. That extra $2, $3, $5 million, that's an extra $1 million. You can tack on a couple contracts per year, and or it's one middle-class player, if you will, that, hey, I'm sorry, we get $5 million less than what we're counting on. We just can't afford you anymore. So just throwing that number out there. 198.2 is the salary cap this year.
One thing you mentioned with the labor piece and a lot of the numbers, David, one of the things that was happening was roster increases. Is that effective immediately?
I don't believe so.
When you bring up the money,
sure.
when you brought up the money and we're going from a couple more guys and a couple more practice squads, so that shouldn't apply until 2021
because the 17th game doesn't start until 2021.
And the roster jumps are with the 17th game.
Right.
Just wanted to bring, because when you're talking about those numbers, that would apply, obviously.
Quick baseball note. The Yankees, when we signed off on Friday, the Yankees were still trying to stay together. They had announced they were going to stay in Tampa. They were going to keep working out together. Well, over the weekend, one of their minor leaguers tested positive for the coronavirus. And by yesterday, Major League Baseball basically told the Yankees and any other teams that were trying to hang out in their spring training complexes, yeah, you got to go home. All right, we're locking the gates. I don't know what to tell you. And this isn't going to turn around here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. This is going to be a while. Go home, be with your family, stay safe, and stay in shape. And we'll call you sometime in May and tell you when to come back. The NBA over the weekend canceled the rest of the G League season. Regular season, playoffs, it is done. And reports came out last night that as of right now, the NBA is planning on a mid-June return. Mid-June. Remember, the NBA was the one that was ahead of all the other leagues in canceling things. They did it Wednesday night of last week when everybody else started doing it on Thursday. Over the weekend, Mark, the ECHL canceled the rest of their season, playoffs included. No more Blades hockey this year. Done. The Blades sent out a release basically saying for those of you season ticket holders, and if you'd put money down playoff deposits, they're working it out. They'll, and basically it's either you get your money back or you put it towards next year's season tickets.
Let's hope that these places will do the money back. I'm not knocking the Blades. You just know a lot of times they love the credit thing. And this is, David, you were right on over the weekend when you started talking about the act of God clause. Read a couple of articles that basically proved you to be, no one had exact 100% concrete proof, but nearly everybody that isn't a lot bigger chair than you and I are going the act of God clause.
With the NCAA?
With the NCAA, with the NBA, with the NHL.
Yeah, they could. If they wanted to,
right.
They could just walk away and get their insurance money.
And I have to think that while it may not be an insurance clause with the ECHL, David, you can't. These teams pay for these players' housing, and they're paying salary. I mean, that's a pretty big chunk of money to be handing to these guys and paying their apartments when there's no games being played and you don't know for how long.
Well,
they don't make a lot of money in these leagues.
Well, and you feel really badly for the Blades because most of them are not on two-way contracts, so they don't have AHL contracts. My understanding over the weekend is that the NHL is pushing to continue to pay their AHL players because some of them are, in theory, going to be needed for when the season resumes. And so they're not paying the ECHL players.
Well, they're not on NHL contracts.
Right. And so these guys' season ended a month early. And that's a month
and
pay
they
that
get
they were paid.
On. See, in the ECHL, David, you still get your weekly paycheck all the way through the playoffs. The playoff shares aren't that much money. But if you go for 8 weeks, it's 8 more weeks of salary plus a playoff bonus. It's substantial to these young men. And I don't at all blame the ECHL for doing it. But I have a feeling that these kids lost a pretty good chunk of change to a man.
The NCAA did decide late Friday into Saturday that they are leaning right now, and I think they're going to make it official here if they haven't already, to give all seniors an extra year of eligibility in spring sports, not winter sports, which is basketball. In spring sports, baseball, softball, and I think that's also golf and tennis. So the NCAA right now is going to then waive scholarship limits and that sort of thing. It'll be a 1-year coronavirus exception. Now, how many kids can afford to come back another year? And by afford, I don't mean financially, although it needs to be pointed out once again, baseball, softball, and a lot of these, especially baseball.
All of these spring sports. There's not a spring sport out there where I can't imagine that more than 1% of spring sport participants are on full scholarship.
In baseball, it's like 12.7 scholarships for the whole team.
And how many players?
Well, over twice that. I think the way Florida does it actually is they offer like everybody a third of a scholarship. You know, the Gators just say to everybody, because they got like 35 guys and what have you, and they just say, you all get a third. You want to come here, you get a third. Pretty much that's how we play it. I don't think they play favorites, even with their best players. The NCAA also, in what I just think is a really blank move, they announced yesterday they are not going to release a bracket for men's and women's basketball.
It certainly seemed as if, David, there was so much support for doing it, and it looked as if, didn't it look as if to you, at least over the weekend, that they were strongly considering it? It seemed to be out there. I thought they were going to do it.
It was just lip service. They never even had a conference call. Basically, they just walked away from the brackets middle of the day on Thursday, and they never came back. And their excuses as to why they weren't doing it and how difficult it would be to do it, give me a break. All right? Quite frankly, you could do it in an hour. And I think it's a disgrace. I really do. You couldn't give these men's and women's basketball teams just the courtesy of a little bit of time and effort to reward them for their seasons. I mean, so that it officially goes down in the books as, you know, you earned an NCAA bid. And here was the other idea. And listen, coaches are in favor of it for a lot of reasons, but one of which is also a bit selfish. A lot of them have bonuses in their contracts. If they make the NCAA tournament, they get extra money. In some cases, they get extra years of their contract that kick in. All right. But the idea was thrown out there to essentially have all the coaches agree that whatever bonus money you get, you throw it all into a pool. And that money would go to all the displaced workers at all the arenas, because there was not going to be March Madness. Thought it was a great idea. The coaches were indicating on Twitter they were in. I mean, they do make a lot of money.
Yes, they do.
And but, of course, the NCAA said no.
Very cool moment Saturday for the FGCU women. Bittersweet as it may be, they had a little ceremony and cut the nets down for their race on title with all of the, 5 seniors and 4 juniors on that team. So I thought that was just a neat thing. They played one shining moment. They cut the nets down. It was kind of their swan song, if you will, but I thought that was a nice job by Carl and his staff to do over at Alico Arena over the weekend.
Rick Pitino is back in college basketball. He's the new head coach at Iona. He's still over in Greece coaching in that league, but when that season is done, he will go to New Rochelle, New York, which right now is in quarantine. The UFC had their fight card over the weekend in Brazil, and Dana White insists that we're not canceling a thing.
Not a damn thing.
And if you missed it last night, the CDC announced that in their recommendation, there should not be crowds or gatherings of more than 50 people for the next 8 weeks. So do the math as to how soon you think the sports world will return to some semblance of normal. And that, Mark, is...
The starting 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton's Starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
12 minutes before 7 o'clock. 249-8167. 249-8167. The Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line. Our poll question. Is it up?
It's David, it's been up. You told me to put it up. I get it up, man. I am nothing but at your beck and call for these 3 hours.
I went to get water. I just didn't know what you were doing during that time. How was your first weekend without sports? Good/great? It was okay. It was a struggle. And D, so this is hell.
Right now, okay, David. Okay, winning.
How was your first weekend without sports? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, and MillerandMoulton.com. Please vote.
Do you know you can clean your own car?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The things we're going to learn. Miller and Moulton, thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
Don't worry, that's all I had. There wasn't much there.
I think Lucas is just going
I'm
to be
telling
one
you,
of those
you
players
need.
where
I
go,
need
he put
6-7
up
minutes.
30,
I don't
17,
think this
and
segment's worthy of
Zion
this story.
could go 5 for 18, but have 3 highlight dunks and a block, and we'd go, "Do you see Zion?"
I've got a story. I
That's
can't do
the
it here. I'll do it
difference.
at 7, David.
Zion is a phenomenon.
It's
Luka's
one of
a
the
better
funniest damn
basketball
things
player,
I've ever heard in my
and
life.
I
It's
think will make your team
coronavirus.
better.
It's old people. It's travel. It's sex.
Weekdays at
And
9
it's
a.m. on Southwest
funny.
Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Oh, love your new TV and the sound. It's amazing. But where are the speakers? It's like they're invisible.
They are invisible. It's
Hey,
the coolest new
Archangel,
technology, and they're the
we
best
don't have
features on the market.
accurate textbook tackling
I've
now.
got wireless
How the hell do
speakers.
you? What
What,
do you think? The
invisible
coronavirus? That's why we're not going to tackle. We can't tackle now.
You to experience invisible
When's the
speakers
last
for
time
yourself.
you've outside of what the Super Bowl 2 years ago? When have you seen consistently good tackling start to finish in a football game?
Or online at epicaudiovideo.com.
Ever purchased an
And
online item
Comcast
and either
sucks.
it doesn't fit, has missing parts?
I
that
have called
became
them
damaged?
I've called them 3 days in a row, and now it's
Can
already
end up
bad.
costing more.
My outside
My Shower
TV didn't
Door
work
is a
yesterday.
locally owned and operated family business that measures,
what's it gonna take for you to
manufactures,
get
and
a different
installs
service?
our own brand of frameless shower doors right here in
Man, I think
Southwest
you've
Florida.
tried this whole
And
fix-it
we were just named Lee County's Manufacturer
Yeah,
of the Year.
regardless,
With
I still
almost
need the Comcast
80,000
internet.
shower
It
doors
just costs
installed.
more
We
money.
have the
That's the only
experience
problem.
and expertise. Plus, estimates
TV's
are always
not gonna
free.
work, though.
Want to
There's
see
no
more?
sense having
Go to
it.
myshowerdor.com.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years. We operate with integrity, knowledge, and service.
That Alex
Google
Martin
DRM
for us,
Roofing
he
or
retweeted
call
it. He says, I'm not trying to be- he retweeted what he
239-332-1441.
said. Not trying to be dramatic here, but one of my professors told me this in class. There's a very good chance it's the last time we're going to see each other.
Is D.R. Martineau.
94.1 Fort Myers. We are by Fort.
Hey, Aaron Walker here from Naples Nissan. So by now, you've had to have heard about our 8-year, 80,000-mile trade-in offer. If it's less than 8 years old, with less than 80,000 miles on it, we'll give you the original base MSRP for it. Yeah, so whatever that Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai, or Kia was worth 6, 7, 8 years ago, that's exactly what it'll be worth now. Yes, but only at Naples Nissan. Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, yep, we'll take those too. Hundreds of happy customers from all over Southwest Florida have already brought us their trade-in. It's not too late for
Guys,
you
just
to
getting
do
in
the
the car
same.
and turning on
We've
Miller
got
and Malt,
over
the only
400
normal
new
routine I've
Nissan
done in
models
days.
on our lot. Pick out your favorite 2019 or 2020 model at NaplesNissan.com, and then we'll give you the original base MSRP for your trade-in so you can drive it home today. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Offer on select models with approved credit and cannot be combined. Visit NaplesNissan.com for full details.
Headache, back pain, nausea, dizziness, abnormal vision. Just some of the common side effects of Viagra. And many times it fails to even work. Seems hardly worth it. The Fort Myers Men's Clinic Network has successfully treated over 20,000 men with the latest FDA-approved treatments. And without the headaches. Call the Fort Myers Men's Clinic and meet with a Florida licensed physician to get your ED resolved today. 239-317-7777. That's 239-317-7777 or FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
Get up and go now, so you can go tonight.
Thinking that an online cheap pill is going to fix a serious medical condition like
I
erectile
gotta-
dysfunction?
I seriously just
Think
gotta price
again.
how much
That
more
little
it's
blue
gonna
pill
be
is
when
only
we go
effective
to
without
the
side effects in 30%
business
of men.
internet.
What about the rest of us? The Fort Myers Men's Clinic Network has successfully treated over 20,000 men. It's time to stop thinking and start doing. Call the Fort Myers Men's Clinic, 239-317-7777.
For all of you on Twitch, I hope you enjoyed
and
that.
meet with a Florida licensed physician to get your ED
But,
fixed.
I just gotta see what the difference is of,
239-317-7777 or
doing
FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
the business internet with direct.
So you can go tonight.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, head out 75
Actually,
nautical
this would be a
miles.
perfect time
And
to
new
do
member
it.
specials are running
I gotta tell
all
Eve
year.
she's gotta get
Call
busy with all this shit on TV.
239-945-1664 for more
I mean, I'm not
information.
joking.
Or visit towboatuscapeccoral.com. With
Oh, no,
Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
Gymnastics.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Six minutes before 7 o'clock on this Monday morning. Hope you had a good weekend. The first without sports in a very long time. Since mid-September of 2001.
Did you do anything productive that you would consider productive this weekend?
Yes.
What was the most productive thing you did this
I
weekend?
cleaned/straightened up my room, including my business part of it. Had years worth of papers and stuff.
How many garbage bags did you fill? Because I would consider you a borderline hoarder.
Oh,
Like I don't think
no.
you're like one of those people that has rooms full of stuff, but you keep a lot of crap.
I do, but I usually keep it somewhat organized. You'd be surprised. I throw crap out. But I have a lot more books. I have 3 copies of Vern's book.
I'd like one.
Done.
I'd like to read that book.
Done.
I'm starting Daddy Daycare this week.
Right.
Because we've got friends. She's a single mom and she has twins. And so they're watching. She's got the day off today. She's watching the girls. And then it's basically on me for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I told my daughter, I said, I don't know if you think this is just playtime, but there's going to be scheduled reading time. There's going to be scheduled writing time. There's going to be stuff going on around here.
Huh.
So when we have reading time, I'm going to start reading Vern's book. We're going to have a half hour a day of reading time.
Okay, good luck with that.
Because I'm going to have them read to me, and then I'm going to read to them.
Well, I tell you what, if you want it to be nap time, all right.
Read Vern's book
there you
to a bunch of 5-year-old girls.
Or start talking baseball, one or the other, and
Well,
see whether or not it
the other one I did over the weekend, David, is that my daughter, I introduced her to a great sandwich. To a lot of people, you may find it gross. I figure you might because, well, you like bananas, but I did the peanut. She's a peanut butter and jelly kid. I said, you ever have a peanut butter and banana sandwich? Her eyes got big, so I made her one, and she loved it. So I made her one the next day. She had a half the first day. Then she wanted the whole sandwich.
1 minute.
She finishes the whole sandwich, but not, she did about 3/4 of it. Walks right over to the candy thing, grabs a Starburst, says, can I have one of these? And I broke right into my Pink Floyd. And nothing more confusing to a 5-year-old girl when you look at her at 9 in the morning and go, you can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat. She just looked at me and she went, but I don't like pudding.
I was going to say, right.
In full English accent, too.
Wait until a week or so from now when she goes, so this is the effect of the coronavirus,
Yep.
huh?
Yeah. But then we played the wall for her. You got to start somewhere, David. She's 5. I think it's time for a little Pink Floyd.
I don't disagree, Mark. I don't disagree. And boy, the young ladies in daycare are going to love the wall.
David, I have a story about an older lady when we come back that I personally believe is an all-timer. It ties in everything we like. Tragedy, sex, well, and a little more. That's next. Miller and Moulton.
You guessed
Dr.
right.
J.D. Rispino from Center for Men's Health today in Frank's garage. Doc, I was talking to a
You
buddy
said,
of
I'll
mine,
try
telling him
50,
about
and
my
sure
spring
enough,
break
boom,
plans, and
that's
he's
what
like,
it
"Where do you
was.
get the energy to do all
Last
this
2 days
stuff?"
last
I
week
said,
is 51.5.
replacement from
In the first part of last week, it was 48 and then 47.
Testosterone has to do
This
with
I
energy.
find the funniest thing in the world. I have no
We have-
idea.
I mean, it's a hard out. If you listen to Levitard at all, Levitard is, Levitard rips Greg Cody forever because Cody does not know when the break's coming, and he's in the middle of a sentence, and they just cut to break, and that's their shtick, is that they don't tell you when they're going to break. But our break is 57:50.
Your body is a machine.
That's it.
That machine was
And
designed
yet,
to run with a perfect testosterone level. But if you
it
want to see
varies
how
from
good your machine
57:47 to
can perform, go
57:51 and a half. That was as late as it was last week.
$400 of lab tests and the
And when you're not in the studio with the producer, that leads to
Locations all up and
confusion.
down the West Florida coast. Go to c4mh.com.
Receiving. Over.
Alexa, play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
LeBron has shown his greatness. Kevin Durant's a better player.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Smart speaker.
Are we cheering for idiots? What's going on?
Sounds more like a dumb speaker, am I right?
You're an idiot. Nice job.
Get Southwest Florida sports talk delivered to your speaker.
This is easy.
Just say,
There's a
Alexa,
chest one right now.
play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
Finally, something worthwhile.
I didn't think it was going to be this easy.
See, they found her over the weekend. Remains or
Welcome
whatever.
to the Alamo Gun Range of Naples. Are you a first-time shooter with a lot of questions and need training? The Alamo Gun Range of Naples is here for you.
I didn't
With our
realize my
clean,
whole
comfortable,
body
and
didn't
relaxing
know
atmosphere, and a staff that's certified and trained to provide you with the answers and training you need to get
I
started, you'll
take
feel right
2
at home.
weeks off.
The Alamo
2
Gun
weeks.
Range of Naples. Naples' premier indoor gun range and firearms superstore. AlamoRange.com.
Hoops in the hallways, battling in the break room, and target practice in the urinals. WFSX-AM from the Rock to downtown Fort Myers. We are Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com.
High school buddy was the only lone Democrat, and he just gets beat up constantly. Well, you know how I've been the past couple of weeks. I texted him at 6:08 on Friday. I said, I quit. You can deal with those idiots. This guy has lied about every single part of the coronavirus, and Jay has defended him. Good luck. So we went back and forth yesterday. I was laughing. He's like, and it's just scary. My cousin texted me from Idaho, asked me how I was doing. I said, I'm fine. I said, what's scary around here? I said, you got so many people who only watch one channel, Cody. I said, you go to Marco or Naples, you wouldn't even know anything's going on. He's like, man. He goes, yep. He goes, I sent all my people home. It's not as effective. He goes, I got a kid starting first day tomorrow. That sucks. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
Shelter from the storm, huh?
And Moulton.
Yeah. Sounds like a song.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Couple minutes past 7 o'clock on this Monday morning. Things are a little different these days, aren't they? Hope you're doing well and hanging in there. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We're streaming foxsportsfm.com, and we are broadcasting live many a place once again, including on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels, which are free, which you need to sign up for, especially in the case of Twitch TV, and we would appreciate it if you did.
Big show today. I mean, we actually have a really good show today. We went through the whole first hour, and I don't even know if we mentioned who was on our show, David. We've got so much going on, so much to talk about, but we have Michael Bird joining us. They're still having the event at Bow Campers. He's with Naples All-Star Events. He'll join us at 7:30. John Forsland, voice of the Carolina Hurricanes play-by-play, will join us at 8 o'clock. John is currently in self-quarantine.
Aren't we all?
But he came in contact with Gobert, I believe, at something, and that's why he is in self-quarantine. I happened to hear an interview with him on the on NHL Network on, I think, Saturday morning. It all runs together now, David, but he said that it was therapeutic for him to talk to them, and John's been on our show, my goodness, a few dozen times, and I said to Cassio, I said, well, if that was therapeutic, maybe he'll want more therapy Monday morning. So John's going to join us, and Eric Musselman, the Arkansas head coach, is bored out of his mind. Here is our notes. No March Madness and is bored out of his mind.
Yes, and is tormenting his wife. I think we're doing a public service for the Musselman household by occupying Eric's time for at least 15 minutes. His wife, Danielle, I think will be very appreciative.
So, my mom lives down in Marco. One of her neighbors is on vacation. Actually, I think gets back today, probably going to be in self-quarantine, was in Europe. Right. This is the second trip she...
I hope she's in self-quarantine.
Right. Well, David, you and I have had these conversations, too, of the way they've let people back in. But that's for another station and another show. This is merely for your amusement. So there's an 80-year-old woman who is coming back from Europe. This is the second trip she's taken since she and my mother have been neighbors, in which she has given my mother like a package before she has left. It was wrapped in paper, and the first time my mother never bothered to open it. And she's gone this time, and my mother just got curious and said, what the hell's in this thing? She figured it was last will and testament. You know, God forbid something happened, that my mother had the paperwork for her family that they could find. That's literally what she thought it was.
Right.
And the more she felt it, she didn't think it was that. And so she opens the package. And in the package are two items. Did I say she was 80?
Yes.
The first is a book entitled The Ultimate Sex Book, The Therapist's Guide to Sexual Fulfillment.
What?
That goes through nearly every positional way that a couple could fornicate. Did I say she was 80?
Yeah. I mean, no offense. That book would have been a lot more valuable about 55 years ago.
Along with a DVD that contains the 3 titles.
Wait, there's more?
Yes.
What is this, like a Time Life offering? I mean, what is this in the middle of the night? And for $19.99, and there's more.
The DVD with 3 titles, Cabin Fever,
yeah, okay.
The Hottest Bid,
okay.
and The Voyeur. It is the 3 films in the romance collection. Did I say she was 80?
You have said that more than once.
Now, here's what my mother who let out, it, and I nearly recorded it with my mom, because my mom, so I called her yesterday morning. We have season tickets to the Barbara B. Mann. Miss Saigon was yesterday, and my mom didn't want to go. And she was very fearful, or not very fearful, and then and felt badly because I bought her the tickets as a birthday present for her 75th birthday. And they weren't cheap for the season tickets at the B. So she felt badly, eating the tickets. I give the B all the credit in the world. When she finally decided she wasn't going to go, I emailed them yesterday morning, said my 75-year-old mother doesn't feel comfortable going. Do you have a refund policy? They credited my account literally within 30 minutes. So good for them. So for anybody that had any worries about that, terrific job by the folks at the B. So then she proceeds to tell me the story. And she says, what really dawned on me in all of this is, what if something happened to me and you came over and you thought these were mine?
Hey, listen, would have made for a hell of a wake.
So my mother has a dilemma. 1, she could just give the books back. 2, she says at her condo complex they have a library that at the end of the year, everybody puts their books in there. My mother's thinking about sliding in the Ultimate Sex book and see if anybody checks it out.
Yes. Can I contribute? How much? I'll pay you to do it. Okay, name your price. Name your price. Absolutely.
Kinky 80-year-olds in Marco Island. I'm telling you.
That would be
It's not
great.
just the Villages, kid. It's not just the Villages.
The only thing that was missing is like red beads or a red pair of Crocs. That's all. All right, send the signal out.
I'm sorry, but to me that was an all-timer when the 80-year-old has got the triple play DVD of porn in the Ultimate Sex book.
Tell you what, I'm ready for the coronavirus.
Hello.
If you know what I mean.
You must have been something good before electricity.
Ooh. 249-8167. 249-8167.
I hope it wasn't just me, but I thought that was an all-timer when I heard it yesterday. That's good stuff.
I think we could all use a little more comedy over the next 8 to 10 weeks.
Absolutely.
I really do. 249-8167. Chime in via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Give us a holler. How you holding up?
David, people are not holding up well. Based on the poll question, how was your first weekend without sports? Good, great, which is what I answered. I had a terrific weekend with my family, 9.1%. Right. Less than 1 in 10 of you feel the way I do.
So in other words, they're saying keep it to your damn self.
Exactly. Okay, which is where David is about a little over 1 in 3, about 36%. And then we are in a dead heat for a struggle, so this is hell, that just over 1 in 4 of you think that you are living in hell.
Well, and also, I mean, mid-March, it has become such a big part of Americana is the madness and the brackets. I mean, also, think about it. We are, this time of year, conditioned to do a lot of bonding. I mean, we bond over the brackets. We congregate. Who do you like? What do you know? I mean, also parts of the offices that don't normally interact. People who don't normally interact. This is something to do that over. Plus, what do? We go out and congregate with March Madness. I mean, who knows that Northwest Missouri State could bring so many people such joy, and cause them all to bond. But if they're the right 14 seed, all right, and they hit a last-second shot to knock out Iowa, okay, it's the greatest thing in the world.
All I have to do right now is say 4 letters to most everybody in America. UMBC.
Here you go.
That's our 16. I was thinking of Valparaiso, the long pass. It's got to be 25 years ago now.
Well,
no, the pass and then the flip out and the shot. Yep. I mean,
true.
I was, John had sent us a text over the weekend that, is it KNBR in San Francisco that's running Warriors games and Giants games or whatever? I really thought, the Kansas-Dayton game was on ESPN last night. I'm wondering if CBS next weekend is just going to show great tournament games. I would.
Yeah, I would too. I don't think they're going to, but that's what I would do. I mean, it's a challenge right now. The one thing it looks as if it's going to happen, and I thought this immediately, Friday night sitting around, and I don't know why I had ESPN on, but I saw a promo for the Michael Jordan documentary, this 10-part series that they're doing on Jordan and the Bulls. And it was scheduled to run in June. Well, it's going to run a lot sooner, and it should. I mean, that's smart. Let's face it. This could be the highest-rated 30 for 30 type thing they've ever done. I mean, we are going to be what? Starving for sports. You're going to give us 2 full weeks of Michael Jordan?
Yeah, I watched the Lakers Celtics 30 for 30.
That's what it was, and that's where I saw it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I locked in, and I remember, that's when the NBA was my league.
Well, you were a teenager.
I was watching the triple headers. I was in. I was all into the NBA. I knew most every player on every team.
Well,
I loved it.
You were a teenager.
And I was going back into my youth because the guy across the street from me, who you've met, the softball pitcher, Doug, his brother and I were both. His brother was older. Mark and I were big Magic fans. Doug was a big Larry Bird fan, even going back to the Indiana State, Michigan State. So that immediately puts it in the neighborhood. It takes it from their court to your court, if you know what I mean. And, man, it was just – I was like a little kid again watching that. I had just a ball on Saturday night, I think, taking that in.
And so it looks as if they're going to move up the Michael Jordan documentary. And that makes perfect sense. I think they'll have a very attentive audience. 249-8167 is our number, 249-8167. Our poll question, how you doing? How was your first weekend without sports? And if you missed it last night, the CDC came out and recommended no gatherings and crowds of 50 or more for the next 8 weeks. So think about not only how that's going to affect us in our daily life, but think about it from a sports standpoint. I mean, that takes us to Mother's Day weekend, basically. And so now I will say, the UFC has said, CDC, whatever. And
WWE is still wrestling with no crowds, which was pretty wild, I think, Friday night for one of their live events. They'd go to commercial, and the wrestlers would just stop wrestling. They'd come back from commercial, and they'd pick it up.
So it'll be interesting. I think WrestleMania is still on for now, although the thought is that the local authorities in Tampa may actually put the kibosh to that, or can you do WrestleMania with no crowd? So I guess there is that option. But that's what the CDC came out last night and said, which you think effectively shuts down the sports world until mid-May at the earliest. 249-8167, 249-8167 to call or text in on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line. But, Mark, you know what that's going to make it? It makes this week Tom Brady week. I mean, it's going to begin very shortly. Legal tampering begins at noon, but free agency is going to go on as scheduled in the NFL beginning Wednesday afternoon, and that means that it's Tom Brady week.
There is no doubt.
The options seem to be dwindling. Tennessee re-signed Tannehill. There were reports that the Niners have kicked the idea around but have moved on from pursuing Brady, and they're sticking with Garoppolo, which leaves the Chargers and the Bucks for Brady. But I will say this, what I threw out there 3 weeks ago, and you knew I threw Tampa out from the very beginning. Long shot possibility, but that, to me, they were going to be all in. And if New England's trying to get them back and get them back on the cheap, so to speak, if you're Tampa and you put 3 years, $100 million in front of Brady, fully guaranteed. I mean, this is where pride, ego, and if New England's trying to get him on a 2-year deal at around $44 million, and Tampa's got 3 for $100.
Can I just be greedy on this for 1 second? One, it has been miserable watching the National Football League in Southwest Florida for quite a while. The red zone has been the only thing that has saved us for what has been putrid football for a half decade. And it's just been awful.
Oh, you could argue for the last 15 years, we've had a lot of tough seasons.
But there's at least been a couple of good Bucs years in there. There's been a couple of okay Dolphin years in there.
Yeah, but that's it, out of 15.
No, you're right.
And they've very rarely done it at the same time.
So this gives us, one, Tom Brady in Tampa for 16 damn games.
Oh, it would be great.
Secondly, Tom and Drew going at it twice a year for the next couple years.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I mean, if that happens, the quarterbacks in the NFC South would be in order from worst to best. Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Drew Brees, Tom Brady.
Well, Cam coming off an injury, I don't know if he's better than Matt Ryan.
Okay. Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. Or
Brady and Brees.
Right.
No doubt.
In fact, that could just be the poll question right now. If that were, if we were in the sports world, how would you rank the quarterbacks in the NFC South?
So Tom Brady week is going to get underway officially middle of the day on Wednesday. And the NFL, now if they don't push back the draft, the NFL is going to essentially be it through late April. And we'll go from free agency right into a whole lot of draft talk. And if you were running the NFL, what are you inclined to do? You know, Vegas is beginning to shut down.
Yeah, the Wynn announced that they're closing Tuesday.
MGM, I believe, came out overnight and also made some announcements. So Vegas is beginning to shut down. No guarantee that Vegas is even going to be open. Now, here's the dilemma for the NFL. Not that people really care about this, but I'm asking you if you're running the NFL. You know, in a normal world, you just say, well, we'll push Vegas back to next year. We'll make do this year. Well, next year is supposed to be Los Angeles. You know, the new stadiums and the whole deal. And that's kind of where the NFL is moving a lot of their stuff. They're going to move it to that stadium. That's where the NFL Network's going to be, in the bowels of that stadium, I believe. And they're going to move a lot of their entertainment and events to Los Angeles. And next year is supposed to be Los Angeles year, the draft and Super Bowl. So the NFL really wants to have this in Vegas, which is why I think they're going to push the draft back.
I agree. I think that first off, they wanted to do essentially what Pat Kerwin laid out on Friday during our show. They wanted to push the league year back.
Right.
The league year starts Wednesday. They desperately wanted to push it back, but they needed approval from the Players Association. The Players Association did not grant that approval. As David pointed out in our first hour, when this happened in the last CBA, they jammed all of the league details into about a 10 to 13 day period, and the players got screwed, and they're not doing it again.
Right.
That's why free agency started. This is not the owners. Don't ever blame the owners. It's the players that, nope, not going through it again. You can work this out. You don't need to see us. You don't need this, that, and the other. But they still control the draft. Yes. And it would benefit them on a lot of different fronts. One, they could play free agency right on through when sports aren't being played, and then throw their draft in a little later and continue to dominate the sports landscape as we are starting to get things going.
Yeah,
I would
be a bit of a lull.
I know, but I would be working to try to figure out, let's just say the NHL and the NBA, let's just take them at their word that they're thinking mid-June. And the CDC made their announcements that it's 8 weeks. That takes us to about Memorial Day.
Mother's Day, I'd say.
Okay.
I mean, we're only the middle of March, so 8 weeks takes us to early mid-May.
I would be looking at having my draft either right before Memorial Day weekend or right after. before the other two leagues get playing. I would try to get my window in there so that I get the draft. The draft ends. We're going to talk about the draft, for the Greedy Sports Talk Show host. Then we should be playing playoffs about a week later.
I mean, that is going to be the great unknown and also the big game that's going to be played here. Scheduling with all the leagues. Everybody truncating everything. It's an Olympic year. Do the Olympics take place? Do they take place on time?
Do you think we should just try to, when we went to the summer and winter every other year, and after September 11th, we missed a Ryder Cup and had to just push it back a year. I think we're better off just pushing the Olympics back a year right now and start going on the odd years.
All right. And I know nobody cares about this, but this would be the great irony if this happens. This was supposed to be NBC's Super Bowl year. NBC asked CBS, would you switch? Because we got the Olympics. And to do the Olympics and the Super Bowl in the same year is a royal pain in the you-know-what. Never mind from an advertising standpoint, to be honest. It just, can we break it up? And CBS said, yeah, sure, okay. So they switched. So that's why CBS will have the 2020 season Super Bowl, and then NBC will have the 2021 season. So the irony would be if the Olympics get pushed back to 2021, NBC is going to have the Olympics and the Super Bowl back-to-back. All right? So that's number one. So don't laugh, though, Mark. Don't laugh. Don't you think NBC is going to have a say in what the schedule is for the Olympics? I do. They're far and away the biggest TV rights holder worldwide for the Olympics, and it ain't close. All right, The Olympics take place for the United States of America, period. I mean, without us, if our TV money went away, that event might go away.
Certainly in the way that it's played now.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It would not be a big deal. It wouldn't.
It'd be the Pan Am Games.
Yeah, a little more.
You know what I mean.
But it would not be what it is if our TV money goes away. And so I would think that NBC is going to have a vote, and they're going to have a big one as to the scheduling and all that. Now, what is interesting, if you're NBC, you could actually make the case to push it a little bit later on, could benefit you. But then again, we're going to have a backlog of sports. See, normally the Olympics takes place when there's no sports outside of baseball. And it's scheduled right now for the last week of July and the first week to 10 days of August. I mean, the NBA is talking about finishing in August. Hockey's talking about finishing in late July. Now, I know it's a summer Olympic year, not a winter Olympic year, but you know what I mean. There will be the golf seasons. I mean, what's going to happen with the golf season?
Well, and I've been one who, how many of these players really want to go to the Olympics? And now they're going to have to literally choose between what? The Olympics and a major?
It could be. I mean, if you're the PGA, instead of mid-May, do you say, you know what?
Back to our old spot.
For 1 year, we're going back to mid-August.
And then all the other tour events that are just going to simply get canceled because the majors are going to take precedent.
Yeah, or pushed back or what have you. So scheduling is going to become the big story in sports. And I know that's not exciting at all, but it is going to be a bit of a jumbled mess. I mean, if you're horse racing, one of the beautiful things of the Triple Crown, it's the 3 races in this short period of time, and I'm sure they don't want them running in the dead of summer. But, I mean, the Kentucky Derby is not happening on the first Saturday in May.
Are you sure?
Yes, absolutely. Would bet my job on it.
Okay.
The CDC just said you can't have crowds of more than 50 or more.
I understand.
For 8 weeks. That overlaps the Derby.
They're not going to have crowds there. I mean, they raced yesterday all over the country with no crowds.
I understand, but do you know what that take is? I mean, to lose that's 150,000 people.
No, I got you.
Math. I mean, can that quite frankly, can that race / that sport afford to race without crowds?
More than ever this year. The hell else are we going to do? Do you know what the online betting would be for this sucker? David, we're not doing anything. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. If I'm horse racing and I could figure out a way to do this, why wouldn't I? No one has anything to watch.
Well, how about this? What if you just push it back a couple of weeks? We have derby parties.
No, I got you.
I mean, and if you're horse racing and you're the Derby, do you just push everything back a couple weeks just to abide by the CDC guidelines? I mean, that's all. I'm not saying push it back to July and August.
No. I'm with you.
You just have to just kind of nudge this down the road a little bit.
But if there's ever been an opportunity, if you can get away with some things, I mean, my goodness, do we have a captivated audience right now?
I mean, here's another thing. If the Derby says we're going to push this down the road, what if the Preakness says we're staying right where we are? The first Triple Crown race of the year would be the Preakness. I mean, it's not like horse racing as a commissioner. I mean, there's nothing that would force the Preakness to move. I mean, the Derby would be honked, but there's nothing.
No, you're right.
There's nothing that's forcing them to move.
Can't argue with the thing you said, David. Cannot argue with the thing you said.
Miller and Moulton. Speaking of not moving, that's the Legends basketball event tonight. Actually, it's late this afternoon. It starts at 4 o'clock at Bo Campers in Naples. Michael Bird, who's running it, will join us next because he is hoping that this is the first of many events to come. So we'll talk with Michael Bird of Naples All-Star Events next here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us on this Monday morning. Hang in there. We can do it together here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Would you know what this guy looks like if I
with Colin Cowherd?
Zion's different. Now, New Orleans is a football town, but Zion's a phenom. Luka's just a great player. Zion's a phenom. Zion's a number 1 pick. Zion played at Duke. Zion's under the microscope. Luka is going to end up with 30,000 points. I'm sure he'll get a championship. He'll be in the playoffs. But it'll be a different life than Zion.
Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Therese O'Shea with Wink News. 34 new positive cases of coronavirus reported by the state overnight, but the Department of Health's website does not list locations yet. At last check, there are 11 confirmed cases in Southwest Florida, including 2 deaths. The first mobile testing collection sites open in Fort Myers and Naples today. In Fort Myers, a doctor's order and appointment is needed for Lee Convenient Care at Page Field, and just the doctor's order is needed at NCH. Their location is still TBA. We're expecting an update from President Trump and his task force this morning. A topic, the CDC's recommendation that you avoid groups of more than 50 people for 8 weeks. For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News. Facts, not fear.
The Dear Happy Show.
Brought to you by Hardee's.
We've got Melissa on the line.
Hey, Happy. My kids have baseball practice on Saturday mornings, but it's my only day to sleep in.
Well, break it to them early that they're not going to make the majors.
But I don't want to crush their dreams.
That's fair. Then why don't you swing by Hardee's on the way and get the new BFC Frisco breakfast sandwich with a crispy wheel of cheese inside, so everyone's morning can be super.
Okay.
Call in next time at 1-833-HI-HAPPY.
Available for a limited time only at participating Hardee's restaurants.
Feed your happy. The Dear Happy Show.
Brought to you by Hardee's.
Eric, you're on with Happy.
Hey, Happy. I'm applying for a mortgage and I'm debating a 15-year or a 30-year rate.
Forget about the property ladder. Get on the burger ladder.
What?
The new BFC Angus Thick Burger from Hardee's has a crispy wheel of cheese on top.
You're right. As long as I have a good burger, I'll always have a place to call home.
Exactly. Call in next time at 1-833-HI-HAPPY.
Available for a limited time only at participating Hardee's restaurants.
Feed your happy.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples. TJ, we hear you've added several new colors of Core-Tec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new colors of Core-Tec for our stock. All nice, light, beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you have. You also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec Wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
I'm a busy person. Catch the show anytime. Check out millerandmoulton.com and subscribe to the daily podcasts.
It takes courage to talk with that someone special when there are problems in the bedroom. Erectile dysfunction, or PE, can shatter your confidence and make your relationship challenging. you can put an end to these issues. Have the courage to make just one confidential visit to the Fort Myers Men's Clinic and get that spark back in your relationship. The doctors at the Fort Myers Men's Clinic offer the latest solutions for all ED and PE issues, and you'll see results in your first visit, or there's no charge. Call 239-317-7777 to meet with their licensed providers. No matter your age or your conditions,
Got your caller.
diabetes, high
Great,
blood
thank
pressure,
you.
prostate cancer, low testosterone causing your issue. It doesn't matter. They can help. Call the Fort Myers Men's Clinic at 239-317-7777. That's 317-7777 or online at fortmyersmensclinic.com. Have the courage to take that first step. Fort Myers Men's Clinic, your key to a better life.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
.32 on this Monday morning. Thanks for being with us. We're Miller and Moulton. This is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live many a place, Facebook, Twitter, but particularly on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. All guests join us on the Goldberg, New and Abraham Law Firm Hotline. Local people, local practice, local knowledge, goldberg-law.com. And doing so right now, Michael Bird, he of Naples All-Star Events. And, well, they're having one later today. Begins at 4 o'clock at Bo Campers in Naples. It's a basketball legends event. Rick Barry, Sam Jones, Tiny Archibald, Phil Chenier. Michael, thanks for your time. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Well, we are doing fine. First off, we know that this is, from a planning standpoint, that this is the first of what you're hoping is many. Why did you settle on the 239 as the place for you to, you would let us know every month, every other month, you want to have these type of legends events. Why?
Well, let me tell you a very short story here. My wife and I wanted to do a business together, and I own a business in the Washington, D.C. area, which is very similar to this, where we invite legends, mostly Redskins players, to come out and meet business leaders in the Washington, D.C. area and talk about the story of glory of Redskins past.
Sure.
And we always wanted to do a business together down here. We've been residents, Neapolitans, for the last 18 years or so, but we became full-timers about 3 years ago. And so, we put Naples All-Star events together, and we started last year. We were going to have Coach Mike Ditka as our first guest. To kind of kick things off. Unfortunately, as you guys know, Coach Ditka had a heart attack on the golf course, and we had to abort the mission. But all the sponsors stayed in place. All of our followers, all our supporters stayed in place, and I went to my best friend, who is Phil Chenier, and I said, Phil, we're thinking about doing this again. Can you help us out? So he put us in contact with Sam Jones, who is a golf buddy of his, and someone that I've interviewed or we've interviewed for our show in the Washington, D.C. area. And then we got in contact with Tiny, and Tiny got in contact with Rick, and here we are.
All right. NaplesAllStarEvents.com, by the way, is where you go to find out what all the events are going to be, but it's also a place to go for tickets, NaplesAllStarEvents.com.
Michael, I think we already know the answer, but I'm going to double check with everything that's going on. All 4 in town, everybody's on board. I mean, obviously the world's changed since you set this event up, Michael, so just making sure for everybody that's going to attend, all 4 guys in town, everybody's here and all those things.
We had dinner last night at Shula Steakhouse. We give them a little plug there. They've been fantastic. And it was great. We had a great dinner, great night out. Had an opportunity to, talk a little bit about today. Obviously, none of the guys want to, they want to be as receptive to people as possible, and they want to make sure that everyone that comes out has a great time. But they're going to, we're going to adhere to the social distancing process, make sure that everybody is a safe distance away from, their fellow patrons. They don't want to really shake any hands, but they're going to be as receptive to people, sign all the autographs, sign all the basketballs. We even have one of our nonprofit sponsors and supporters is the Warrior Centric Healthcare Foundation, which gives young men and women in far and distant places who fight on our behalf so that we can do the things that we do in this country. We're going to be giving away a camo bag that's signed by golf bag that's signed by all of the stars. And so that's going to be a nice deal as well. So, they're very, very receptive to making sure that everyone that comes out today has a great time, but more importantly, has a safe experience.
Michael, I asked this tongue-in-cheek. All right, so you and your wife have always wanted to start a business together. The first one's interrupted by the guest's heart attack, and the second one is impacted by coronavirus. You're not taking that as a sign, are you?
Well, you know what? If it weren't for bad luck, guys, I'd have no luck at all. No, I tease. Things happen. Things happen beyond your control. What are you going to do?
No doubt.
As they say, as a wise man once said, that certainly wiser than me, the show must go on.
And it will go on today at Bow Campers in Naples. We're talking with Michael Bird, Naples All-Star Events. Still tickets available if you're stir crazy. Go to NaplesAllStarEvents.com. You can
based on our poll question. All right.
They are
asking how people are doing. It's been 72 hours without sports, and our audience anyways is beginning to lose their mind.
They're chomping at the bit.
Well, guys, if I can say this, I wish, and by the way, before I mention this, you guys need a pay raise because
You're not just whistling Dixie, Michael. That's the smartest comment. He can come back every day.
You guys need a pay raise because with the kind of entertainment and information, I've been a listener of you guys for a while. You guys give great sports information, great sports entertainment. You guys are on top of what's going on. And you guys are as detailed as any group, and I've been in the radio, TV business for a long, long time. I have not heard a better duo anywhere in the country. So you make sure that the powers that be put some extra dough in your envelope.
That's the funniest thing you're ever going to say,
That
Michael,
comedic relief brought to you by Michael Bird. He's hosting Naples All-Star Events. They'll be at Bow Campers tonight. Phil Chenier, Rick Barry, Nate Archibald, and Sam Jones.
I was going to say this, that I wish you guys had been, I wish everyone listening to this broadcast had been at that dinner table last night, because the story that Sam and Nate and Phil, Rick wasn't there. He's on his way down. He'll be here this afternoon. But the stories, and that's really what we concentrate on when we talk about the stories of these of these great sports heroes, it's absolutely priceless. You know, Sam talking about Bill Russell and Phil talking about how he comes around the pick, you know, that Wes Unseld, you know, sets, you know, to shoot the jump shot, and Nate talking about his physical preparedness, you know, and how he had to be, you know, so much better all the time, and how he didn't have the natural talent, but he worked harder than everybody else to be the great pro that he became. It's priceless. You can't pay for that kind of information.
Well, and also 4 unique stories, and you know, there aren't really 5 players that were like Tiny Archibald in the history of the league.
Oh,
I mean, that's how unique a talent he was, and he had a couple of seasons that no one in the history of the league has been able to put up. Michael Bird from Naples All-Star Events, NaplesAllStarEvents.com. Michael, if you have your way, after this event, what is it that you are hoping to bring to the sports fans of Southwest Florida, the next 2 or 3 events that you want to put forth? What are they?
Well, you know, I think that, you know, the number one thing is, you know, we want to bring sports entertainment and these great legends, you know, to Southwest Florida, and we want people to be entertained. We want people to be informed. We could care less about scores, highlights, who wins, who loses. It's the stories. We just talked about this a few seconds ago. The stories, you know, of how these guys became the champions that they became. You know, in the Washington D.C. area, where we kind of, you know, siphoned a little bit of what we do up in D.C. and brought it down here. You know, a lot of the people that come to these events, you know, many of them have never played any sports in their lives, but they've idolized these great heroes all of their lives. And so when you can put a young man or a young woman in front of these great stars, and many of them are black and brown, you know, who came through adverse conditions to become the great sports heroes that they became, you know, you look at them and you say, well, you know, if they can do it, I can do it too. If you're an old codger like myself, and I'm a lot older than you guys, but if you listen to these guys and you get in, you know, just wrapped up in their stories, you remember what it was like, you know, when they were pounding the ball on the hardwood. You know, for Celtic fans, they remember the old parquet floor. You know, for you know, Bullet fans, they remember the old Cap Center. You know, if you're a Rick Barry fan, you know, you remember what it was like when he was shooting the free throws underhanded. And so it takes you back to if only for a short period of time, it takes you back to a time that was kinder and gentler. And that's what we want to provide. We want to provide an entertainment experience where people can come, enjoy, have a laugh or two, get some information, and they'll find out, you know, how these guys became the inspiration that they became.
Michael Bird from Naples All-Star Events and NaplesAllStarEvents.com. 4 o'clock today, Bo Campers in Naples. Rick Barry, Tiny Archibald, Sam Jones, and Phil Chenier had Sam and Phil on the show leading up to the events. If you missed their interviews, go to our Connecticut casts and download them. They were both terrific. They told some of the stories that Michael referenced. And it is of a time gone by, but it's also of stories which you really, we'll never hear the likes again. Michael, all the best with the event later today, and hopefully things work out despite the circumstances, and we can talk again.
Well, we want to make sure that everybody's safe and has a great experience, and you know, we're going to be here for the long haul, so this won't be the last time that we're doing something like this. As a matter of fact, this is the first occasion of many. And, you know, what you guys have done for us over the last few weeks has been tremendous. We thank you and all the people over at Fox Sports. God bless you. And, again, make sure that dough is in your envelopes.
It's so funny.
Oh, boy.
Comedian and...
Right. And promoter. Right.
He's not only doing the show at Bo Campers tonight, there's a chance he may go kitty corner and do a couple sets at Off the Hook Comedy Club after. You've seen his material, and it's top shelf.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, guys.
Michael Bird, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Right.
You know, there was a time earlier in our career when someone would say extremely nice things like that.
Right.
And you and I went, damn right. And we kind of put it as a feather in our cap and said, we'll use this when the time is right.
Right.
Now we just laugh.
Right.
I mean, because the odds of us getting a raise are there's a lot better chance of us getting a raise by starting a GoFundMe page.
Because what Michael said, in $5 will get us in line at Starbucks.
Yeah, that and $5 will get us $5.
But thank you, Michael. It was
very, very nice of you to
and
say
we
that.
wish you all the best. Later today and into the early evening, Bo Campers in Naples. And I do like the idea of bringing folks in the sports world down here to yuck it up and tell stories. I think we have a very receptive audience for that type of thing. So I wish him and his wife all the best with Naples All-Star events. John Forsland will join us. He is in self-quarantine, the play-by-play voice of the Carolina Hurricanes. Fortunately for him, there's no hockey to broadcast right now, but we will talk to John coming up after the top of the hour. And Eric Musselman, as a bit of a public service to the Musselman family, we will have him on coming up in 45 minutes because he apparently is driving his family nuts. He has some stories to tell about it. It wouldn't shock me if Danielle, his wife, gets on the phone midway through the interview and says, and another thing. But Eric Musselman, the Arkansas head coach, will join us coming up at 8:30. This is Miller and Moulton, the beginning of Tom Brady week, here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com, and you could be looking live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch TV.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
If we really want to use the word valuable, Giannis is the best player on the best team. The best player is probably Giannis. The best player doesn't always win the MVP. LeBron's been the best player before, hasn't been the most valuable. This year, LeBron, probably not the best player, but has brought a substantial amount of value to this team.
Doug Gottlieb, afternoons at 3 on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, Aaron Walker here from Naples Nissan. So by now, you've had to have heard about our 8-year, 80,000-mile trade-in offer. If it's less than 8 years old, with less than 80,000 miles on it, we'll give you the original base MSRP for it. So whatever that Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai, or Kia was worth 6, 7, 8 years ago, that's exactly what it'll be worth now. Yes, but only at Naples Nissan. Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, yep, we'll take those too. Hundreds of happy customers from all over Southwest Florida have already brought us their trade-in. It's not too late for you to do the same. We've got over 400 new Nissan models on our lot. Pick out your favorite 2019 or 2020 model at naplesnissan.com, and then we'll give you the original base MSRP for your trade-in so you can drive it home today. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Offer on select models with approved credit and cannot be combined. Visit naplesnissan.com for full details.
Welcome to Jimmy P's Chard. As you enter through the front doors, you'll know that you've arrived in the finest steak and chop house in Southwest Florida. All cuts expertly cut at their very own butcher shop. A true butcher block-to-table experience. 3 generations of mastering Wagyu beef, heritage Berkshire pork, poultry, lamb, and veal. The mood of Chard's nostalgic dining area is upbeat, high energy, and casual sophistication. A friendly and relaxed place, not fancy or stuffy. Chard's staff works hard to make you feel at home. Come in and unwind. Enjoy an exquisite glass of wine or perhaps a handcrafted beer with your perfectly charred steak. Afternoon or evening, anytime during the basketball tournament, it's going to be a wonderful experience at
Headache, back pain, nausea, dizziness, abnormal vision. Just some of the common side effects of Viagra. And many times it fails to even work. Seems hardly worth it. The Fort Myers Men's Clinic Network has successfully treated over 20,000 men with the latest FDA-approved treatments. And without the headaches. Call the Fort Myers Men's Clinic and meet with a fully licensed physician to get your ED resolved today. 239-317-7777. That's 239-317-7777. Or FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
Get up and go now
so you can go tonight. Thinking that an online cheap pill is going to fix a serious medical condition like erectile dysfunction? Think again. That little blue pill is only effective without side effects in 30% of men. What about the rest of us? The Fort Myers Men's Clinic Network has successfully treated over 20,000 men. It's time to stop thinking and start doing.
Cranked all the way to the end.
Fort Myers Men's Clinic, 239-317-7777, and meet with the Florida licensed physician to get your ED fixed. 239-317-7777 or FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
Get up and go now, so you can go tonight.
This election season, there's only one candidate with a spotless resume and impeccable service record.
Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs is the obvious choice. Voted #2 in the nation by TripAdvisor, Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs does it right. Owner Todd Brooks and his staff are committed to providing the best burger experience and superior customer service. With favorites like the Donut Burger, which is a handcrafted burger between 2 glazed donuts and topped with American cheese and bacon, Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs are truly building the dream one burger at a time. 4 locations: downtown Naples, Vanderbilt Beach and 41, on the East Trail at 951 and 41, and their newest location in Logan Landings on Immokalee Road in North Naples. See why Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs deserves your vote today. Online at brooksburgers.com.
Wow.
Brooks Gourmet Burgers and Dogs, building the dream one burger at a time.
I'm Todd Brooks, and I approve this message.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Nine minutes before 8 o'clock, Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Thanks so much for being with us. Our poll question today, straightforward. How was your first weekend without sports? Good or great? Okay. That was a bit of a struggle. So, this is hell. Those are our 4 choices. And right now, Mark's weekend, which he classified as good to great.
It was terrific.
Was getting the least amount of votes. And everybody else somewhere between okay and hell. And just think we're not even 100 hours into this thing. Should go swimmingly. And that's why we're here, Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
But it is that time. We do this every day, David. It is time for Today Was the Day When.
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When, Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
All right. It was today in 1900, David, that the American League meets in Chicago. Ban Johnson announces the American League will be the Chicago White Stockings, the Washington Senators, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Detroit Tigers, the Cleveland Blues, the Boston Americans, the Philadelphia Athletics, and the Baltimore Orioles.
All right.
1912, Mrs. William Howard Taft plants the first cherry tree in Washington, D.C. 1945, the number 1 song in America is Rum and Coca-Cola by the Andrews Sisters, which was a sanitized cover of a calypso song about American servicemen in Trinidad who get drunk and solicit prostitutes. Kind of now you know the rest of the story there. NHL President Clarence Campbell in 1955 suspends Rocket Richard for the remainder of the season after he viciously attacked an opponent. Riots ensued in Montreal after the Rocket was suspended.
That's right.
1964, 1 year after being suspended, Paul Hornung and Alex Karras reinstated into the National Football League. Today in 1968, Robert F. Kennedy announced his presidential campaign. Also today in 1968, General Motors produced its 100 millionth automobile, the Oldsmobile Tornado. 1983, the smallest crowd at the Cleveland Coliseum watched the Cavs and the Nets. Care to guess at what the attendance was, David?
At the Richfield Coliseum there? I'll go like 3186.
Yeah, knock 1,300 off. 1814 was the number.
It's a hell of a year.
Yeah, 1994, Tanya Harding pleads guilty to a felony attack of Nancy Kerrigan. Ooh, I did skip over one while we're playing this. I apologize. I screwed up. It was in 68, sorry, one more in 68. Otis Redding goes number 1. posthumously with the song Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. If you get a chance, Sting recorded this song raising money for Alzheimer's. It's on the web. Sting's version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay is really, really good. Worth the listen. 1996, Tyson knocks out Frank Bruno, in the third round for the heavyweight title. Dave Anderchuk in 97 gets to 500 goals. And a year ago, David, in the Big West, UC Santa Barbara lost to California State Fullerton 64-68. And a year ago in the NHL, it was the Blues 5, Penguins 1. Since we don't have scores, I will every day during this segment give you 2 scores from 1 year ago.
That's what you're going to do?
Why not?
That's what you've decided?
That's what I just decided.
A Big West and an NHL score.
Tomorrow I'll have more time.
Wow.
If you were born today, you share your birthday with James Madison, our 4th president, with Jerry Lewis, with former NHL and IHL coach, first coach that I actually ever knew, Don Perry, born today in 1930. Eric Estrada, born today in 1949.
Oh, don't get my wife going.
Was she a big Eric Estrada?
Big.
He was a teen superstar.
Yeah. Apparently, my wife liked guys with brown hair. Okay, so Starsky and Hutch, Chips,
David Moulton.
Hall and Oates. I think my wife was into the dark-haired guys.
There you have it. All right, Nancy Wilson from Hart, born today in 1954. The great Ozzie Newsome, born today in 1956.
Let me tell you something. His career gets better by the day. I know they don't do this in the NFL. He was put in the Hall of Fame as a player. He should be put in the Hall of Fame as an executive, too. Unbelievable. You could argue as a player and then as a coach/executive, it's got to be one of the top 3 careers in the history of the league.
We've got a little PE going because Flavor Flav is 61 years old, the former member of Public Enemy, kicked out last week by the band. And Dwayne Sutter, NHLer, is 60 today. Mel Gray, 59. Rodney Peete is 54 years old. Curtis Granderson turns 39 today. Blake Griffin is 31. And Joel Embiid turns 26. And that is, today was the day when. I know you appreciated that Big West and NHL score, Dave.
I love the Mel Gray birthday as well. Man, he could run.
Yes, he could.
Number 85 for the St. Louis Cardinals. Man, he was fast. Those teams were dangerous. They didn't win anything in the playoffs, which just showed you how good the Cowboys, Vikings, and Rams were. They struggled to get to the playoffs and couldn't win when they got there. Miller and Moulton. John Forsland, voice of the Carolina Hurricanes, is next.
Did you know that King Roofing has expert dedicated repair crews to troubleshoot roof problems? They can fix everything from tree damage to broken tiles and, of course, roof leaks. Do you have a leak or water stains or tile damage? Call King Roofing, a roofing company with the right team to repair it. King Roofing, experienced in roof repair for over 40 years.
License number CCC 057279.
There's got to be more than 50 horses. There's 20 horses and 20 jockeys.
Sometimes we just got to take
the Derby alone.
That's what we got to do.
Take that deep breath.
Take a breath and relax.
Well, the horses
I'm very relaxed. And say,
but it's 40 people.
We're living our best life.
Yes.
From the MLB.
Deep left center field. This one's got a chance.
Right.
Gone!
To the NFL. To the NBA. We're all laughing and just living and loving all of this.
Love it.
On Fox Sports Radio.
Want a truck? You're in luck. New Ram Crew Cabs, $375 per month at
I
Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers.
For a sport that is as down as horse racing,
it's Truck Month Madness. Crazy low prices on
To
every truck and
have
SUV
a
at Galliana
televised
Chrysler Dodge
event
Jeep Ram
in
in
May
Fort
as
Myers.
goofy as
Over
it can be,
1,100
no
Chryslers,
hat,
Dodges, Jeep,
no
and Rams
party.
in stock. 2020 Ram Bighorn Crew Cab lease, just $375 per month. 2020 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, $319 per month. New Challenger SXT lease, just $225 per month. Qualifying purchases with no monthly payments till September. And exclusive of that offer, Galliana Chrysler
The
Dodge
figure
Jeep Ram in
skaters.
Fort Myers will give you $6,000 minimum for any trade in any condition, running or not. New Ram Crew Cabs, $375 per month
I
during
am
Ram Truck
literally
Month
just
at
saying, like,
Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1/2 mile south of Daniels
It would
Parkway
be
on
a
US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com.
Would you have more crowds? Would you have more enthusiasm?
The sports station with balls.
And stripes. We also have stripes. WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and
they've
all of
always
Southwest
had-
Florida.
We are
Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the
saying
Center
you're
for
wrong. I am
Men's Health.
really-
C4MH.com.
Did they run every year?
I don't know, David.
I don't think they did.
Good news I can tell you.
I thought there were a couple of years they didn't run.
They ran every year.
In the 40s?
They ran every year in the teens. They ran every year in the 40s.
Okay, so there's no year they didn't run?
Got your caller.
Okay. No.
Well, and the betting handle online was
Oh.
significant. But, I mean, you got 150,000 people also bet. I mean, here's the other thing. I mean, how many stakes races you going to have leading up to this? You think Florida and Santa Anita and
They're all
Arkansas?
they're all running.
They're all running?
They're all running.
Well, maybe they will.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller,
Shelter from the storm, huh?
and Moulton.
Yeah, sounds like a song.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it. Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
As we approach a couple minutes past 8 o'clock on this Monday morning, in an America the likes of which we have not seen in a very long time. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com, and we are broadcasting live many an outlet, including on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Eric Musselman, the Arkansas men's basketball coach, will join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. It is a pleasure to welcome back John Forsland, the play-by-play voice of the Carolina Hurricanes, who also does a lot of hockey for the NBC family of networks. And John is currently in self-quarantine. And you can follow John on Twitter at John Forsland. John, we normally ask, how are you? In this case, we are genuinely concerned and asking, how are you?
Well, I appreciate that. And I've got all day, guys. I don't know how long you're on for, but we go on for 6 hours if you want.
John, how about this? We'll stop at 8:25. Yeah. We'll talk to Eric Musselman. We'll finish the show. We'll resume at about 9:02.
Yeah, I might be asleep, but that's all right. I'll leave the phone. I won't mute the phone. Anyway, I feel good. Thank God. I don't have any symptoms. It's an inconvenience, and that's about all it is. And you know what? It's just something that I need to do. For the people that are out there don't understand or are not familiar with the circumstance, I was traveling with the team last week, and we're headed home after the league was put on suspension. And I got the news from our VP of Media and Team Services that I had been in the same room as Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz. So I was directly exposed to it and had to put my life into a different frame of mind. I got on the phone with my doctor, who told me I didn't have much of a choice but to be in self-quarantine. The key here is I was not eligible for a test, and I think that's the big issue that we're having in the country. Not enough testing, not enough people can get tested unless you meet certain criteria. So without symptoms, there was a no-brainer for as far as their advice to me that, I had to put myself away through March 22nd. So that's where we're at right now. And like I say, every day I just make sure that I don't have any symptoms. Today, good day so far, and we'll just go along with that. If I do develop any type of symptoms, obviously they will test me, and then we'll get a definitive word as to whether or not there's coronavirus or not.
Well, and John, I happened to catch your interview on NHL Live, which is why I suggested to our producer, because you made the awful comment for all of us that do talk shows. You said this has been therapeutic. I said he may need more therapy, everybody. He may need more therapy. Yeah. But one of the ironies and I'd like you to repeat the story, John, because for those of us that are in the business, when someone walks up to you and says, "I need to talk to you," there is panic. So can you just take us through your PR person coming on the bus to tell you? Because it's one of those, I think you'll find it to be a lot funnier later in life than you do now, but it's a hell of an interesting story, John.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. So, the way the teams travel, there are two buses, the one for the players and coaches, and then there's sports staff and media. So obviously that's where I'm at. And, over the years with all this experience, I get a back of the bus. I get to sit in the back of the bus. So I'm in the back where I normally sit and have for years. And our VP of Media and Team Services, his name is Mike Sundheim. He got on the bus and kicked a couple people off from our Fox crew. And he came back to me, and the look on his face, I'll tell you what, I thought he was going to tell me, God forbid, somebody had passed away or I'd been fired. Those are the two circumstances. That's how grave he looked. So he said, "Listen, I hate to tell you this, but you're in the same room as so-and-so, and your life's going to change now. We're not 100% sure you can fly back with us." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah, we're not sure. We're on the phone with our doctors, our trainers on the phone with the doctor, trying to see how we can do this, but we think you can fly back with us. And if that's the case, you will. We'll sequester you in the front of the plane," which they did. And so then I got on the phone with my doctor, and his name is Josh Bloom. He's the team doctor for the Canes, and he's the one that kind of walked me through the protocol and told me that I was not eligible for a test. I automatically thought I was coming home, I was going to get the test, and then I could get on with my life one way or the other. But he told me that's just not the case. So once I wrapped my head around that, moved on, got some more details from his assistant as to what self-quarantine was all about, and then I had to call my wife, because and it is something that will be funny down the road. But even as I say it today, I say it trying to be funny. You don't come home from a 2-week road trip and walk through the door and say, "Hi, honey, I might have coronavirus." That's something she doesn't want to hear.
Right.
So I had to call her and let her make some preparations here at home, which she did, and she did a remarkable job with it. So here I am. I'm in the bunker. We have a basement. That's where I'm at, and I'll be here until March 22nd. And once we get beyond that, I'm free to roam the country.
John, how did you cross paths or share the same space as Rudy Gobert?
I just checked in the hotel. I mean, it happens. And I think that's where the two leagues, in particular, the NBA and the NHL, had to figure this out. And I think the two commissioners knew this was coming. There's so much overlap. There's so much locker room overlap. There's so much hotel overlap in this case. They come in, they leave, the next team comes in. And in many of these cities, it's not always the same hotel, but there's 3 or 4 hotels in each city that are at the specifications to meet the player standards. Because maybe you guys don't know this, but in today's world, the CBA governs, where you stay. The players, and that's all good for us as media people, they bargain the rooms. That wasn't always the case. Back in the 90s, the teams made the call. And there were certain teams that stayed in the 5 stars, and there were other teams that tried to cut corners. So those days are gone. The players have taken care of that in all sports, baseball, all of them. So you get great places, and there's only a few of them. So you're always in the same venue, the same hotels, same properties, and so that's just how it is. And I checked into my room, and Rudy was there, and I thought he'd get a better room than the one I had, but I guess that's how they roll. So anyway, that's kind of the way it is. But you know what? It's just he tested positive. He's gone through his remorse for maybe the kind of fun that he poked at it initially when he didn't know, and I feel bad for him because he's been kind of victimized by this, and he just got sick. That's all. And then since then, he's apologized, and he's made the big financial donation to help out the workers in Utah, which is great. And I just happened to be in the room, so I kind of lost a reverse lottery, I guess.
John Forsland, voice of the Carolina Hurricanes, also part of the NBC hockey broadcasting family. You can follow him on Twitter at John Forsland. And for those that don't know, Gobert donated $500,000 to try to help as many people as possible in many places who are going to be impacted by the sports world shutting down.
And also, as I mentioned last week, when Gobert did that, I think everybody's seen him touch the microphones. Part of the reason he did that is because before that interview, they made sure the media was 12 feet away. He was actually doing that more or less to embrace himself towards those media members and say we're all on the same team, and it backfired horribly. But I just think that story needs to be repeated because initially I think we all thought Rudy Gobert was a bad guy for doing that, and that was not his intention at all. And I just think it's something that needs to be repeated throughout this process. John, I want to have a little fun because you've been great about this. And since you mentioned the hotel, it was a nice hotel, but this is probably, since staying in Rudy Gobert's same hotel room, what's the worst hotel room you remember staying in the 90s?
Oh, God. The worst one, it's pretty easy. We played a exhibition game in Tallahassee. And it was, I don't know how we ended up. And in those days, there were promoters that promoted these preseason games. And so the teams really didn't make the call. The team went in for money grab, and the other team did too. I think we might have played the Islanders. I don't know who it was, but we played in Tallahassee. And in the early 90s, the NHL was experimenting in all these different places. They even had neutral site games within regular seasons where they played in places that ended up getting teams eventually. So I think they were testing markets for potential expansion and relocation and so on. But we played in Tallahassee, and this place, it was just terrible. And we ended up having fun with it because the players couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it. There was an area like out by the pool where we all kind of convened the night before the game, and it wasn't a great place, I'll tell you that. It wasn't great at all.
John, as someone who'd broadcast many games in the ECHL at that same lovely arena there.
Were they the Tiger Sharks?
They were the Tiger Sharks. I believe that's the Leon County. That's where FSU plays basketball. But I just want to wonder, were you staying about
exactly it, Leon County. That's it.
Yeah,
yep.
Were you staying about 20 minutes out of, because I remember the first time I went there with the Nashville Knights, we stayed about 20 minutes out of town at this kind of golf resort. And it was Tallahassee was one of the 5 worst stops in the ECHL. And trust me, I've stayed in dumps. And I empathize for you guys because they must have freaked out when they saw those locker rooms, didn't they?
I think it was a drive to the rink or the arena, and they freaked. And it was one of these trips that's uncommon. That we were there the night before. I don't remember why, but in NHL preseason, you usually travel the day of the game. But I remember what we had to do, and I remember being involved in this, and the laughter at first, the horror of checking into this place, and then it just turned into, hey, we're going to have some fun with this, and we did with the players, which is unheard of. Coaches and players and staff, all kind of, we're the only people in the hotel. Nobody else would. So that was
That's funny. That's the community saying, hey, if you guys are brave enough, knock yourself out, but no one else will stay here. Listen, having been around the sport for a while, forget the complexities of arena availability and all that. Just from keeping the ice, how late do you think the NHL can play? Do you think they can play into mid-July? I mean, the NBA obviously is a very different. You guys share a lot of travel things, and you may share a lot of arenas, but it's a lot easier to play an NBA game in July and August than it is an NHL game. Just from a quality of play and the ice not being mush, how late do you think the NHL can realistically go?
I think they can do it now. I think 20 years ago would be very difficult, because the way to level off the humidity wasn't available in all the arenas. So, even in mid-May in Boston, back in the old Boston Garden, remember the blackout in 1990 and all that, it was real hard to control the humidity for the ice. I think they can do that in most of these buildings. And if you look at the teams that are just in playoff positions right now, there's a couple that might have a basketball hockey situation moving forward, but not all of them. And the majority of them, I think, do not. So, for instance, here, if the Canes were to go deep, I think they can do it. Don't forget, most of these teams have development camps after the draft. So they boot the ice up, they get the plant going, they get the rink in place, they crank up the air conditioning, and they have a development camp, which is, a high level, and the conditions are good, for these young players, these prospects to come in post-draft. So we're talking July then. So I think it's doable. I think in just about every building, it's not going to be ideal, but I think you're not going to see what we had back in the day. Back in the day, the ice would be a big issue. I don't hear that much from people that you talk to about this. I think they're pretty comfortable knowing that if they had to go that deep, that they could. I hope it's not that deep. I hope it's a little bit short of that. And I hope we can figure out as a country what we need to do here just to level this thing off and just get serious about this. I think that's where we're at today. And that's what we need. And that's why I think it's important to talk about, like my circumstance. I'm not putting myself out there as any kind of hero. I'm just saying I'm trying to do what we're supposed to do. We got to take responsibility, even though, listen, 3-4 weeks ago, I was the first guy to be sarcastic about this. And when they had those interviews where everybody was 6 feet away, I was like, are you serious? We're doing this now? I take all that back. I think we have to readjust our thinking and not be so, self-righteous and as a country take things for granted. I think we have to realize the severity of this thing moving forward. But I think they can do it. I think they could figure out this, and we're going to need it, right? The good news about this, it's not like a lockout where we had some dark times and you didn't know about the future of the sport and where the players and the owners were and everybody could pick a side and debate over this. This is like a rain delay that we have to get through. And when we do, no matter how long it is, the world's and this country is going to need professional sports. Oh. Networks need it, but most importantly, we're going to need morale. We're going to need something to get excited about again. And the economy should, support all of this when we do get back to normal. And it's going to be great to watch golf again, to watch basketball again, to watch hockey again, NASCAR. All these things are going to come back at once. And it's going to be like Christmas. And I think that's what we're going to see. But we have to be serious about where we're at now as citizens and level this thing off.
All perfectly spoken by John Forsland, voice of the Carolina Hurricanes. He is currently in self-quarantine. You've heard the story. I'm going to ask you an actual hockey question, though, John. We have plenty of time to figure out how to do this. If you were advising Gary Bettman, I just pulled up the standings just to take a quick look. Okay, Carolinas and Columbus right now are the two wild cards. The Panthers would be out by a couple of points. The Islanders would be out by a point. They've played 2 less games than Columbus. You've got an actual tie in the West, where I believe Vancouver and the Predators each have 78 for the final wild card. The hell are they going to do? Because it seems that the regular seasons are about done, John. If we're going to come back, the odds are we're coming back with postseason. How do you figure this out if you're Gary Bettman?
Well, I think he might have to consider a play-in tournament.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I think you come back, and it works pretty easy in the East. In the West, it's a little more difficult because you've got the Arizona Coyotes, who are the wild card here, and not really the wild card, but the X factor, if you will, because they're like 4 points out, I believe, 4 or 5 points out. But just look at the East, all right? If you look at the East and you eliminate the teams, Buffalo on down, who are done. They're done. And so there doesn't make any sense, at all for them to come back and play if they're any kind of regular season even. But if we're just going to the playoffs, I think you have a play-in 2 out of 3 where the Rangers play the Hurricanes, where the Islanders play the Blue Jackets, and then for third in the Atlantic, Florida plays Toronto. And that sets up your playoff. And I think it would be great theater. I think it's like, okay, we're going for the playoff positions first, and then we'll get to the playoffs. You have like 2 levels of it. I think it would be off the charts viewership. I think the ratings would be great. You've got the New York market in there. The Rangers have done a remarkable job this season, a season that was left for naught, a season where they were supposed to be finished and rebuild, and they're right in the mix. And they deserve to play for a playoff spot. And I think 2 out of 3 with the teams that are hovering around the lines in third place and so on makes sense. Now, in the West, a little more difficult because Arizona would argue, well, we're 4 points out. What about us? There has to be a line somewhere. 4 to 5 points at this time of the year is significant. With 2 weeks left in the regular season, that's significant. That's a lot of points and teams to jump over anyway. They would have a hard time under normal circumstances to make the playoffs. But, there's going to be someone bitterly disappointed. But for me, that's the only way to do it. And I think that would be a great way to take a run at this thing.
Well, John, the gentleman who used to call himself the Puck Daddy, Greg Wyshynski, he's been advocating for a couple years now that the wild cards actually have a one-game play-in, that the 3 teams from each division, they're in, but that essentially the 2 wild cards play then the 2 closest teams that miss the playoffs in a one-gamer. So essentially 7 plays 10 and 8 plays 9. Winners advance and make the playoffs. He thinks it would be the equivalent of the baseball wild card games. It would be great theater, great drama, and I think this is a perfect instance to essentially test that theory out, John. You go with 2 of 3. You could go 1 game. You go 2 of 3. I think 2 of 3 is fair, especially considering the long layoff. But this would be a great way to test this out as to whether or not there's even a way to make the entry to the playoffs going further better.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's enough teams that hover around 10. I've heard some arguments against something like this. I get it, because I kind of like the 8 and 8. I'm not a big, I wish we could seed them 1 through 16. To be honest with you,
or at least 1 through 8.
Yeah, but exactly. 1 through 8 would be fine. But I even think 1 through 16 today, because everybody has team charters. I don't think the travel matters. Back in yesteryear, it did. But I just like to see if someone wins the President's Trophy as the league's best overall team, I'd like to see them get a reward. And I've heard some things on this play-in, and I think that makes a ton of sense because it drops it down to 10, and then there's certainly teams who are in the 10 mix. So all this would mean is if you were to go by this season, you would have the Buffaloes and Montreals in the East pushing even more, because they would be even more tangible to get to 10. So I don't think it would hurt anything. I think it would create the drama. It would give a little bit more rest for the upper echelon teams. But you have to be careful in hockey because there's always an argument about rest versus rust. And you don't want to be hanging around too long. So I think it's a one-game situation in a normal season for a play-in. I don't think it should be 2 out of 3 then. I only advocate 2 out of 3 now because I think they need more dates, and I think there's too much time off. And I think it would give a team a chance to recover from a bad first game, which might be rusty. And then after 3 games, you should have an understanding of who the better team is. And certainly after 4 out of 7, we always do know who the better team is usually. So we'll see.
John, 2 things. First off, obviously, all the best. Hang in there. And listen, anytime that you're losing your mind, just reach out. We're here for you. All right?
Yeah, because you sound like you're still in mid-season form, John.
Right.
You look like you don't need a 2 out of 3 to be. You sound rather like you don't need a 2 out of 3 to be ready for the playoffs, my friend.
Well, check me out in a few weeks. I don't know how long this is going to be, but if it's 6 to 8 weeks, who knows what I'm going to come back. I kidded with somebody, I might come back with my hair the way it is. I'll look like Albert Einstein by the time I return from that.
It's good flow, John. You've always had good flow.
Not even close.
You've always had good flow, John.
We're okay.
Yeah. Good deal, John. Thank you so much. Hang in there, binge watch, and we're all paying attention. And again, thank you so much for the time this morning, John. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. Take care. Be well.
You as well, John. John Forslund, the play-by-play voice of the Carolina Hurricanes, and one of the select few who's part of the NBC play-by-play family to call hockey. You can follow John on Twitter at John Forslund, and that's FORSLUND. He does have a good, solid salad.
Oh, he's got great flow.
Yeah, he's
great flow. That could have been a solid mullet back in the day. Sure, the next time we interview him, we'll probably break that down.
We probably will.
And he's actually one of the all-time good guys out there. John Forslund's a really nice person.
And let's hope everything works out well for him, and we appreciate him for his time here on Miller and Moulton. We're a little over 20 minutes away from the good, the bad, and the ugly. Between now and then, Eric Musselman.
In sports purgatory.
Apparently so, and is about to be kicked out of his house. Either that or he's kicking people out of his house. It apparently has already reached that level in a span of 3 days. The Arkansas men's basketball coach will join us next here on Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Therese O'Shea with Wink News. 34 new positive cases of coronavirus reported by the state overnight, but the Department of Health
Boy, if there isn't a huge
at last check, there
Chamber
are
of Commerce there for
11
them.
in Southwest Florida, including 2 deaths. The first mobile testing collection sites open in Fort Myers and Naples today. In Fort Myers,
they
order,
suck.
An appointment is needed for Leak Convenient Care at Page Field, and just the doctor's order is needed at NCH. Their location is still TBA. We're expecting an update from President Trump and his task force this morning. A topic, the CDC's recommendation that you avoid groups of more than 50 people for 8 weeks. For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News. Facts, not fear.
This is Mark Miller for Tim Tracek Motors, and I'm with Wes Dobbins, a very satisfied Tim Tracek Motors customer.
Thanks, Mark. Over the past 20 years, my family and I have purchased at least 17 vehicles from Tim Tracek Motors. Everything from Beamers to town cars to Cadillacs to cars for our kids to the Toyota Avalon and Highlander that we currently own. We've always been impressed by the thoughtful, straightforward way that Tim and Matt do business. We especially appreciate that they're so picky about the quality of cars that they bring to the market. They have always stood behind their cars, and that's why we'll continue to be loyal Tim Tracek Motors customers.
Well, there you have it. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900. 275-7900. At Tim Tracek Motors, they are confident when you meet them, you'll agree that you've never been to a dealership like theirs before. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900. 275-7900.
Ever purchased an online item and either it doesn't fit, has missing parts, or became damaged? Trying to save a few bucks right here in Southwest Florida. And we were just named Lee County's Manufacturer of the Year.
Because of the coffee.
With almost 80,000 shower doors installed, we have the experience.
And you'll see results in your first visit, or there's no charge. Call 239-317-7777 to meet with their licensed providers. No matter your age or your conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure, prostate cancer, low testosterone causing your issue, it doesn't matter. They can help. Call the Fort Myers Men's Clinic at 239-317-7777. That's 317-7777, or online at fortmyersmensclinic.com. Have the courage to take that first step. Fort Myers Men's Clinic, your key to a better life.
Wake up with Miller and Moulton, weekdays at 6 a.m.
We are Fox Sports!
These are unprecedented times in our history.
And that goes for all of us in the news business, too. I'm Lois Tomey.
And I'm Chris Safadi. With so many breaking developments happening every day in the coronavirus, all of us at Wink News are committed to bringing you the facts, not fear.
That's why we are very conscious about the words we use to report the coronavirus story. Without the hype. Facts, not fear.
At Wink News, that's our commitment to you.
And your family.
That's what
no, my wife
I was going to say.
Did you know that
wasn't
King
being a
Roofing
dick.
has
I was
expert
like,
dedicated
really?
repair
Like, I
crews
figured
to
you going out
troubleshoot
and
roof
getting food makes
problems?
sense.
They can fix everything from
Bill
tree
Maher
damage
starts
to
to show
broken
up
tiles and, of
on
course,
Friday.
roof leaks. Do you
They
have
have
a
no
leak
audience.
or water stains
So
or
he's got
tile
the
damage?
writers
Call
as the
King
audience.
Roofing, a roofing company
And they
with the
didn't
right
laugh
team to
very hard at
repair
one
it.
joke. He
King
looked at me
Roofing,
and goes,
experienced
"You
in
wrote
roof repair for over 40 years.
License number
Funny.
CCC
That's funny.
057279.
That cracked me up.
Yeah.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
We're
getting somewhere. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
It's 29 minutes past 8 o'clock. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Miller, Moulton, and...
Oh, Frank.
Thank you.
Yes, Frank has joined us, and he's positioned himself in between Miller and Moulton so that he gets some FaceTime.
That's what he's looking for.
Nice
Little
job,
airtime.
Frank.
So you can join us on twitch.tv, Miller and Moulton. Catch a little Frank, youtube.com/Miller and Moulton. Either one of those, and you'll get a little Frank cam of him sucking up to one David Moulton right now.
A couple of news and notes during the last half hour. The Falcons have released cornerback Desmond Trufant. Remember, free agency begins in earnest on Wednesday, and teams have until noon today to tag players, and the Bucks have tagged Shaq Barrett, which they had to do, but it also means that Jameis becomes an unrestricted free agent. And, they're going to go after Brady. Good luck to them.
Well, Tennessee signed Tannehill.
Yep.
So, Tampa is as much of a player in this as anybody, maybe the leading player in this, because they have been tampering for quite a while.
Yes, they have. He's Eric Musselman. He's the men's basketball coach at Arkansas, first year with the Hogs, and he leads them to a 20-win season. But apparently that was the highlight of the year because, well, he's bored out of his mind. That's a direct quote. He's kind enough to join us. You can follow Eric on Twitter at Eric, the letter P, Musselman. I got to admit, Eric, it sounds as if you're making very unrealistic demands of the people in your household this early in this process. It really does, from the outside looking in.
Yeah, we're trying to do TikTok, flip it, videos. Trying to. My wife and I, our next project is to try to do what J-Lo and A-Rod did on that flip it TikTok. And but it's kind of uncharted territory for all of us where you're used right now to this kind of being the busiest time, and
sure.
Even if you were eliminated from a conference tournament, or if you play in the first round and then you get eliminated in the NIT or the NCAA, this is a time where so many transfers, and it's going on right now. It's where transfers are going into the portal, and you would be bringing guys onto campus, or you would be going to meet with them. So it's a really pivotal time as you try to build your roster, and right now you're kind of doing it remotely from your home and on your cell phone. For everybody in the world right now, I guess we're going through things that are uncharted and we've never done, but certainly in the basketball bubble, we're going through some new stuff and interesting times for sure.
Well, and from a basketball state, like you said, not only the transfer portal, but recruiting it seems to never stop. And I think, Eric, the one group that I've probably been as bummed out for, and I feel awful for all the kids that can't play in postseason tournaments. But Eric, this is the time of year that we've got all these high school kids playing for state titles. And, they're getting their chance to get recruited, and probably more for the class of 2021 as opposed to the 2020 kids right now, because they've already taken care of their business. But from a recruiting standpoint, these kids are in flux as well, because now the whole AAU circuit's going to be put on hold.
Yeah, certainly, the high school championships, when all of us look back and think about playing high school sports, the state tournaments are something that everybody looks forward to. From a recruiting standpoint, really, the high school stuff is not quite as recruited as heavily as people would think, because everybody, this is the most important time for colleges to do their prep stuff. But certainly the AAU, now that's going to affect a lot of kids. And if you want to, kind of philosophically start looking at stuff and building your roster, because I had a staff meeting yesterday about this. We talked on the phone on a conference call together, and I brought that up. I brought up the current junior high school class that we're not going to be able to see going into their senior year possibly on the AAU circuit. Are we better off taking a transfer who sits next year, you get to work with, you get to develop, rather than a kid who is going to be going through his senior year away from you and then coming in, at that same time that a 1-year sit-out player would play, and that's something that's philosophically, really, really important as you build a roster.
We're talking with Eric Musselman. He's the men's basketball coach at Arkansas, 1 year in through a 20-win season up on the board. Obviously did not get a chance to create some havoc and do some damage in the SEC tournament last week, but he's kind enough to join us here on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Law Firm hotline. Eric, and I think most people understand what goes on in recruiting, but part of in deciding whether or not you're going to offer a kid, I mean, the kid has to want to come, but when you bring him in, oftentimes your team is there. And he pals around with them, even if it's just for a night to go out and have wings and what have you. And then you'll ask a couple of your team leaders, so what do you think? Is he a good guy? You know, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that little kind of, personal part of the recruiting process is likely not going to happen here. Don't you think that there's a better chance than normal that kids and coaches are just going to make the wrong decisions? That this is just going to be one of those years where you're all taking a bit of a flyer, and therefore there's probably going to be a few more misses than normal?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. Another thing that we talked about yesterday as a staff was how important, background is going to be. Because I have been a part of NBA drafts, having been a part of more than one NBA franchise, what goes on in the NBA, and I'm sure it's the same thing in the NFL. I've sat in on San Diego Padres, 2 different Major League Baseball drafts, sat in the back of the room, and certainly when you're talking about the type of money that professional teams spend on draft picks, you do a ton of research, meaning you call an academic advisor, you call a trainer, you call a strength coach, you talk to people on that person's school campus. Those are all type of things that you're going to have to do now, maybe a little bit extra layered, because you can't, on a visit, you sit with a parent, you sit with a sibling possibly. When you do an in-home visit, you get a feel from how a player interacts with his parents. So all those things, at least right now, are certainly on hold, and all part of this process as you put together a roster.
All right, away from basketball, we've asked all our audience today, first weekend without sports, how did you do? And Eric, from the sounds of the text, we don't think you did very well. What would your grade be to be yourself, and what would your wife's grade be towards you?
I would say my grade is an F. It was funny because my wife and I, we walked our dog. We came back in the house. About, 7 or 8 minutes went by. I had CNN on. I came back and said, let's go walk the dog again. And at that point, my wife just started tweeting out, basically that I'm driving her crazy. It's just so, kind of surreal. And I don't think it's really just the, no sports. It's more, look, right now we're supposed to stay in our house. We're supposed to, movie theaters are off limits, restaurants, health clubs, so it's kind of, I look at it like a throwback time almost, where, now we do have to kind of relearn, how do we entertain ourselves, maybe with people that didn't have 7 games on their cable network every night. When I was young, I'm 55. When I was young, I remember the NBA playoffs came on at night, 10 o'clock at night. They were tape delayed. So a lot of those things, communicating with your family without a phone in your hand or without looking at Twitter, all those things are, playing a board game with your family, playing cards with your family, maybe things that people haven't done in a long time are those are things that we're going to experience probably over the next month.
There's no question. Did you at one point turn to your wife, Danielle, and make her draw up a play?
Yeah, I did. I was
you do know that's why we called you. And we did this for Danielle, actually. Okay, we thought we would provide a public service for 15 or so minutes for Danielle, because obviously at this rate, Eric, she's going to stab you in the neck pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, there's no question. We have a play called Boston, and it was our highest efficiency play, and we have a bunch of options off it. We have Boston keep, Boston get, Boston up, Boston down, and we run it for our two best players. So I did kind of lean over and ask Danielle if she knew what I could do with our four-man, who was a non-shooter. I said I couldn't quite figure out the spacing, and at that point she looked at me like, "You are seriously insane if you're asking me where you want your power forward to go on Boston." So, yeah, I did. That's a true story. She'll get over it eventually, and, now she'll know. She will, because she sits behind our bench, and the good thing is now when I yell out Boston, she'll know where those other four players are supposed to go.
Yeah, but the bad news is when it's run wrong and something goes badly and you're bitching about a loss sometime in, January or December or November or next year, she's going to look at you and go, "Yeah, but if you notice, your four wasn't where he was supposed to be on Boston, and that's why you screwed the play up." And then you're going to go, "Oh no, what have I created?"
Yeah, there's no doubt. I already know. Then she will pick the pen up and diagram exactly where all five of them are supposed to go.
Yeah, you've opened the door, Eric. You have opened the door. Hey, a couple quick hitters here, and we do appreciate your time. Don't you think the NCAA should have released a bracket?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's really interesting. There's two sides to it. We've been in the NCAA the last 3 straight years at Nevada. If I would have been in that situation, I would have wanted them to do it. Although last year, the Mountain West still would have been playing. We would have only gotten through 2 games. And last year, Utah State and Nevada were tied. So what would have happened on that bracket with that situation? Because maybe we wouldn't both be at large. We ended up both being, one won it and the other one got an at large. But it was close, and for us, it wasn't close because we were in the top 10 for 16 straight weeks. But if they would have made us the team, what would have happened to Utah State? And so I'm a little bit torn because, the first year we went to the tournament, we had to win the tournament or we would have not gotten in. So I don't know what. And then whose bracket do you go off? There's obviously if the NCAA does it, that's the true one. But Lunardi's tweet things out like an NIT bracket, an NCAA bracket, and I can tell you guys, it infuriates me because we won our first night of the SEC tournament. We beat Vanderbilt. We were getting ready to play South Carolina, who we lost to by a basket in what we all felt was our worst game of the year. And we were hungry. We were thirsty. We were looking forward to playing South Carolina. And if we win that game, we are very, very, very close on the bubble. And then if we're able to beat LSU, who we split with, we lost LSU by 2 points. We missed a shot at the buzzer at their place. At our place, it was a double-digit win. Certainly that was a team we felt like we were going to be able to beat. So when I see the brackets now from Joe Lunardi, I see us in the NIT. And I don't know how you do that. Like, the whole point of March Madness and why everybody across the world watches it, they watch this thing for the upsets that happen in the conference tournament and then what happens in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So, but I do get it. I mean, there are coaches that have bonuses. I don't know what you do with coaches that deserve bonuses. For those that didn't get to finish their season, it's all hypothetical. So you really can't, you really didn't earn your bonus, so to speak, if you weren't definitely in that thing. but certainly, like, we felt as a team and as a program, that we at least had an opportunity or a shot. So if I saw a bracket without us and there was teams that hadn't won their conference tournament in there and weren't at large automatic bids based on their record or being ranked in the top 25, I don't think it makes much sense. But I do get, I have my younger son who goes to the University of San Diego. He would have loved to have seen a bracket. I just have a little bit different perspective.
Well, Eric, we appreciate your perspective, and we also appreciate your time. And, if you don't have our number, write it down, whether you need it or your wife, Danielle, needs it over the next few weeks. Either one of you allowed to call in at any time.
You guys can certainly call back and have her on at any time. After her tweet, we only had 3 national writers reach out to do stories on board coaches.
Right.
So there will be a story coming up in The Athletic. Dana O'Neill's going to do one. So she's up for any radio gigs at any point. Appreciate it, you guys.
Put her on the clock, Coach. Thanks so much, Eric.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Eric Musselman, first year at Arkansas after a nice run at Nevada.
Draw up a play.
Right. She looked at him. His wife, Danielle, former TV personality, was on ESPN. I believe they met when she was working at ESPN. You can follow Eric on Twitter at Eric, the letter P, Musselman. Eric Musselman, son of legendary coach Bill, beloved in Minnesota. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. To wrap up, it's been a pretty solid show.
Yeah. 1 down, at least 80 more to go.
Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
I texted with a source last night. I said, what if the Miami Dolphins said to Jerry Jones, we'll give you 2 first-round picks for Dak Prescott? What would Jerry Jones do? Because to build a successful team, you have that quarterback who's not a financial drain. I think Jerry Jones would seriously contemplate that.
Dan
Patrick. And here they are.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Want a truck? You're in luck. New Ram Crew Cabs, $375 per month at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers.
Call Detroit. So you want to move
Truck
back
Month Madness. Crazy low prices on every truck and SUV at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges, Jeep, and Rams in stock. 2020 Ram Bighorn Crew Cab lease, just $375 per month. 2020 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, $319 per month. New Challenger SXT lease, just $225 per month. Qualifying purchases with no monthly payments till September. And exclusive of that offer, Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers will give you $6,000 minimum for any trade in any condition, running or not. New Ram Crew Cabs, $375 per month during Ram Truck Month at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort
Miami
Myers.
did it,
Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 42 monthly 16,000 miles per year, 1999 with Sun plus tax.
You got
no matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days
I just haven't
a year.
seen anything
Inland,
today,
the
that's
river
all.
to Lake-O and out 75 nautical miles. And new member specials are running all year. Call 239-945-1664 for more information or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
There's a lot of roofing companies,
really
remodeling contractors, home builders, granite and cabinet guys, and then there's Tri-Town Construction, the area's premier general contractor, serving Lee and Collier counties for the past 15 years. Tri-Town Construction provides all your building needs from roofing to interior, exterior remodeling, and custom construction of brand new energy-efficient homes. With Tri-Town Construction, one call does it all. And when it comes to insurance claims for home and roofing repairs, Tri-Town Construction deals with the insurance company on your behalf. No other building contractor compares to Tri-Town Construction. To schedule an estimate and learn more about this environmentally friendly and community-minded company, visit tri-townconstruction.com. The last company you'll ever need for all your home repair, remodeling, and construction projects. Tri-Town Construction. Homegrown and here to stay.
94.1 Lehigh. We are by far.
Headache, back pain, nausea, dizziness, abnormal vision. Just some of the common side effects of Viagra. And many times it fails to even work. Seems hardly worth it. The Fort Myers Men's Clinic Network has successfully treated over 20,000 men with the latest FDA-approved treatments and without the headaches. Call the Fort Myers Men's Clinic and meet with a Florida licensed physician to get your ED resolved today. 239-317-7777. That's 239-317-7777 or FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
Get up and go now, so you can go tonight.
Thinking that an online cheap pill is going to fix a serious medical condition like erectile dysfunction? Think again. That little blue pill is only effective without side effects in 30% of men. What about the rest of us? The Fort Myers Men's Clinic Network has successfully treated over 20,000 men. It's
David,
time to stop thinking and start doing. Call the Fort Myers Men's Clinic. 239-317-7777 and meet with a Florida licensed physician to get your ED fixed. 239-317-7777 or FortMyersMen'sClinic.com.
Get up and go now, so you can go tonight.
Boaters Landing is the largest Key West boat dealer. Visit Boaters Landing to check out the Key West quality, comfort, and unsinkable design, and take advantage of Yamaha's Reliable Choice sales event. Now you can get 5 years of warranty protection on all eligible Yamaha 4-stroke outboards at Boaters Landing. But you better hurry, it's ending soon. Boaters Landing, delivering the dream for over 30 years.
From the best headlines,
The best.
to the worst,
It's the worst thing that ever happened to anybody ever.
prepare yourself and hide the women and children. This is Mark Miller's Good, Bad, and Ugly on Fox Sports Radio.
You're live.
For the good today, we go to North Carolina, where Becky Hoffler was concerned for her grandfather going to the grocery store. She lives in New Jersey, so she can't help him. So she's making grocery store runs for older neighbors in her neighborhood. I think a lot of us are doing that. I actually am part of there's a little Facebook group in our neighborhood I offered to our neighborhood for anybody that's anxious. I'll be more than happy to make a run for you.
Did you see the suggestion that maybe the big supermarkets, to try to clear up some congestion, but to maybe the elderly and or those that have great difficulty getting around, that the stores should be open first for them, and then it almost do it by age? And
sure. I'm all for anything that helps the craziness of people. You know, I ran into Ace Hardware and they actually had toilet paper there, and it's like limit 6 rolls per person. I think that's enough. I think we're okay.
I know this is not called the burrito virus. I have been mystified by this for 2 weeks.
Right.
I get the food.
I get the hand sanitizer. I get the hand soap. But if you steal all the hand soap, what are other people going to use to wash their hands? That's all. For the bad, we go to this gentleman who has a couple of lizards.
Wait, did you say lizards?
Yeah, he has 2 very large pet lizards.
Okay, you were very casual about
Ronald Huff's his name, and, he hadn't been heard from in a while, and when they went to check on him, they found out that his 2 6-foot-long Nile monitor lizards had dinner. They had Ronald.
Damn.
Right. I mean, you can only have so much social distancing. And that also should include from your 6-foot lizards.
Damn. My good, I didn't realize they turned into pythons. Wow.
Finally, the ugly. We go to Arizona, where what I think is...
Wait, the guy getting eaten by his lizards is not the ugly?
Talk to Giro, he put them in this order. And I didn't have time to self-edit today, but we go to Arizona, where I feel badly for this guy because I thought this was ingenuity, and it's turned out to be an arrest. Evanardo Nava has been arrested for computer fraud. He was buying lotto tickets, or scratch-offs, in one of the vending machines. But what he figured out is that he'd put his debit card in, start the transaction, buy the tickets, cancel the transaction. The machine would release the tickets before the cancellation took place. He ended up getting $55,000 worth of free lottery tickets in this exchange. And his ingenuity will end up with him and the Pokey. And that...
Whoa, why?
Why? Because
Why?
he canceled the transactions and they spit out $55,000 worth.
Not his fault.
When you realize the scam once and you keep doing it over and over months, it's not your fault? No, it's theft.
What? He canceled the transaction. It's
And
the
so-
machine's fault.
And one time, that's a mistake. When you do it several hundred times over a few weeks, when you figure that out, that's called theft.
Oh, it's called a machine malfunction.
No, theft. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, we're going to court.
On today, March the 16th, this is 2020.
I don't
What's on tap?
know why you're
Get out of
stopping.
here and let me watch my program. And close the door when you go because I don't want those mosquitoes coming in here.
What are you queuing up this segment for?
Survive in Advance, I believe, is on tonight.
Well, here's what you need to know. Here's what's on tap. At 11:59 today, all right, that's when teams have until to tag whoever it is they want to tag. The Cowboys haven't tagged Dak yet, have they?
No, they have not.
We got 3 hours for the Cowboys to tag Dak Prescott. Now, I will say the Bucs here within the last hour have tagged their pass rusher, Shaq Barrett. That makes Jameis an unrestricted free agent. Only one tag now with the new CBA. So, and then legal tampering begins at noon. For 48 hours, teams can legally tamper. And what that means is that basically deals will be worked out. And then by Wednesday afternoon, miraculously, deals will be done. Whoa! How'd you guys get a deal done in 14 minutes? Well, maybe we negotiated it during the legal tampering period. So, and Tom Brady, that's right, the Bucs at 12:01 today can get on the phone with TB12 and go 3 years, $100 million, fully guaranteed. What do you think?
David, just quickly, Michigan, Ohio, and New York City have all closed restaurants and bars here in the last little bit, in the last 12 to 24 hours. By the time we do our show tomorrow, do you think restaurants and bars in Florida will still be open?
Yes.
I'm going to go no.
Okay.
Just something. I think you'll be able to get to go, but I don't think you'll be able to go inside by the end of the day. That's just my guess.
Miller and Moulton. The Dan Patrick Show is next. Thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Are you a music and technology?
Great job today, as always.
Your senses with